The D&D with GOG crew. That's right. They are here. The spectacular crew is ready. I am so pumped up, chat, because I spent an hour this morning working out more details of the long campaign arc and what they will all be dealing with and all of the various intricacies and the stuff that's going to happen. And all of that will happen if they can get out of this goddamned house alive. So we're
going to party wipe in the next hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And so if you TPK, then we'll just do a whole new campaign and all that will have been for waste. No, but it is a great pleasure to introduce these wonderful friends and wonderful players to all of you. And I will begin with the person right below on the column. And that, of course, is our fearless leader who is ready to go, is fired up, is ready, and who, I need to say, with no sense of irony, is indeed a woman who likes to play D&D, and according to certain podcasts, that's not often something that everyone's aware of. But I wanted you all to know that, Chad. It's amazing. It's almost like we have a diverse, broad community where many, in fact, just about the same number of women as men like to play. Just wanted to point that out just out there in general. Piran, how are you? It's good to see you, and who are you playing today?
I am amused right now.
Good.
Just very amused.
I hope the people who hear this and know what I'm talking about are not amused. That's what I hope.
Well, I'm actually having a pretty good week. I had my last Blood Bowl match in the Coca-Cola Championship, and I actually beat an Elven team 4-2.
Wow,
and I'm
congratulations.
Really pleased with myself right now.
Yeah.
And so riding on that success, I'm going into this session playing Waves Crashing Against Rocks, or as her name is...
You all got that, chat?
A kenku Paladin who is at least somehow convinced that Silvo is not undead. Apparently, maybe. And, also quite out of hit points. No, I'm not that much out of hit points. Not me, I think. I will have a look.
You have a few, 8 out of 13. You know, you've been better.
Yeah, well, that's...
You're far healthier than the 4 out of 11, 1 out of 8, 1 out of 13 from the other members of your party.
It's just a flesh wound. It's fine.
Yes.
And so looking forward to where this is going. And for those of you who are here for the first time, kenkus do not speak, so I'm using a soundboard to imitate the voices of other people, and sounds, and animals, and I can imitate everything I have ever heard.
Quotes from movies, even in a world where movies do not exist. It's all there, available.
It's a mystical thing.
Yes, it's very cool, and it's actually the most unique situation in terms of like sound that I've ever dealt with the player. It's really cool, and I am very pleased to have Piran with us. Congratulations on the Blood Bowl win. And I am also very excited to introduce, of course, Darksaber 2K, and thank, as usual, Darksaber for the wonderful work with Moobot and Dashboard, as always. And I just want to note for the record that I have been listening to the GOG cast, the podcast, a D&D with GOG podcast done by our good friend Fleos, which has just reached the part of the Storm King's Thunder campaign where everyone gets kitted out. And I was cracking up listening to all the players and what they were going through, including Darksaber's character of Selsig, who was dressed in a full-out, and I had forgotten that we had done this, by Ernesto the Tailor, with gems for cufflinks and coins, and the quote from Darksaber was, "I basically am a walking mugging." And I was just like, it's exactly what I want from my thieves, is a walking mugging. As always, it was great stuff with Selsig. And Saber, it is a great pleasure to have you here with us in this campaign. How are you doing, my friend, and who are you playing today?
I'm great. It's great to be back again. As I was saying earlier, a little befuddled because I'm on holiday this week, so my brain's not adjusted to that very well and is just vaguely confused the whole time at the moment. So there's that. But on the subject of holiday, I've been playing some horror games. I played Clock Tower on Sunday, the PlayStation version, not the original SNES version. They both have the same name because why Japan?
because Japan.
Because Japan,
yeah.
Yes. And then yesterday I was revisiting Parasite Eve because why not?
Oh man, yeah, good stuff. The original, like the PS1.
The original, yeah,
oh,
the
nice.
OG.
Oh man,
still good. Just waxing fanboy over it the whole time. It's still really good. I seem to play it every year. It's really enjoyable. But tonight I will be playing Morthwyl Gogoniant, and he is a dwarven artificer who is really starting to wonder what the hell he's volunteered for at this point. Sometimes having a conscience is a pesky thing, apparently. That's what I'm learning about Morthwyl tonight. Like, Selsig wouldn't have had to put up with any of this crap.
Right, exactly. You're like, I think I'll play something different. Then you're like, oh God, I have like standards and lines I won't cross, and oh man,
I can't just bugger off when the going gets tough.
No, but Selsig, even with that though, Selsig pretty quickly became the kind of character who was kind of like, oh, fine. And then against his will, ultimately was like, yes, I'll risk my life for the good of other people. It was like, so at least you begin this way with Morthwyl.
This is true, yes.
But it's a great pleasure to have Saber with us as always. And it's also a pleasure to have our cosplaying friend, PeripheralMike, with us. And I do want to point out that if you folks have not been checking out TikTok, let me tell you, the new hero of TikTok. I mean, not just like, the influencer. He is peripheral influencer, Mike. Like that's the deal. Is Mike, and I have to now publicly, assuming I can publicly praise you for this. Mike is also now a Twitch affiliate. So congratulations to Mike for the Twitch affiliate status. Chat, give it up for PeripheralMike. Well deserved.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
And as you're building your Twitch and TikTok empire, I'm curious about, where you feel you're going to go next with this. Like, and when do we get our team Hovercraft is what I want to know. And also, who are you playing today?
Unfortunately, due to hardware restrictions and general backorder delays, the hovercraft is on backorder and will be here within 12 to 18 weeks.
Okay.
Or at least part of it will be. But bear with us, we'll get the floating Doom fortress in the sky eventually. That's partner level. That's what I'm going for.
Partner
for
level is the castle from Kroll, yeah.
Moon base, that's what I'm aiming for.
Right.
But yeah, no, I'm doing really well. I'd got the really good news that I've officially become a Twitch affiliate. I know it's been a thing that's in motion for a while, but because I had a reasonably lengthy break from streaming, it's really nice to be back. It's really nice to be playing games and just being part of the community, to be honest with you. And I want to give a big shout out to everyone who's been helping me over the last number of weeks in regards to getting my streams set up. Like, I've been checking my bit rates, I've been checking my frame rates, all of this sort of stuff. And loads of people, new faces, old faces, have been popping in every now and then and just offering really sound advice. And I'm just like, do you know what? I am part of one of the nicest communities on the internet. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Speaking of which, I am playing Silvo Janus Betulus, who is the half-elven sorcerer of mysterious origin, and he is currently in a bit of an unfortunate situation. So he actually kind of died last stream, or definitely fell unconscious, and was brought back via mysterious circumstances. So we'll find out more about that.
Indeed, I am excited to see how everyone else reacts to it. Wave's reaction already was sword pointed at the "Who are you?" type of thing.
Pretty much, quite rightly so, yeah.
Exactly. Using the soundboard would have been the clip from what's his face from The Simpsons on the bus, like, we're in danger, like that was. I can imagine that would be her.
I was thinking like the original Batman movies, like, what are you?
Yeah, exactly. What are you? Or just, where are you? Here. Batman Begins. Oh man. Anyway, great pleasure to have Mike with us as always, and also a great pleasure to have, of course, Inanda with us. And Inanda, I think you've now done enough work. You've done the sacrificing and the rituals, so hopefully as to prevent the possibility of Brine going down in combat this time. Like I feel good this session, that this will not be a session where you will again be knocked unconscious and have to crawl your way back to life. That's how I feel. Do you feel like you've done enough sacrificing to the gods to prevent this occurrence? And
it gives me comfort that you feel that as the DM.
I'm just speculating.
That gives me comfort. I currently have 1 hit point. So, I mean, it kind of depends how it goes. I think as a party, we're sitting on no spell slots, no health potions, some fairly major injuries, and a slow-acting poison that's going to kill us all within 24 hours. So, as confidence goes.
Chip in a chair. At exactly what Notorious be. A hit point and a dream. That's it. It's a hit point and a dream.
1 hit point and a dream. BXT knows exactly what I mean. I played D&D with BXT before. We know these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm slightly more confident. I don't know how to finish that sentence. I'm still on a wing of prayer.
Slightly more confident. Oh man.
Well, I think as like for flavor and backstory, Brine the Bloodthirsty, she's a pirate. She's grown up her whole life, not her whole life, since pre-teens on a pirate ship. She's used to that kind of life and that kind of fighting. I think the issue is not that I've got an AC of 16. I think it's the fact that she's just so unsteady on her feet. She's used to being on a ship.
Oh, that's it. She hasn't gotten her land legs, is what you're saying. Like
Absolutely.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
No, it makes complete sense. I mentioned this to the party last time that the level 2, which is definitely on the horizon, starts improving things substantially, as does level 3. But again, one of the reasons I love the starting from level 1, and I know there is a disagreement on this among dungeon masters, but the reason, if you're going to do, if not running a one shot, but if you're just starting from and doing a campaign, is because it really gives you a chance to kind of shape what you want your character to be before several major decisions have to be made. Because at 3rd level, for a lot of characters and classes, there are sort of branching decisions that have to get made and chosen. And I think it sometimes helps to kind of be a sort of hanging with a character for a couple of levels before that. And also, I would point out that Ghosts of Saltmarsh originally came out for, I believe it was 1st edition or 2nd edition D&D anyway, advanced D&D. And it was a time in which death was more deadly, so to speak, than the way 5e sometimes is. And so this is a reflection of the land of Greyhawk, where we all are. But I have no doubt that Brine the Bloodthirsty will be thirsty for other people's blood in this session and not her own. I have no doubt that will be the case.
Absolutely. I'm bleeding enough as it is. No more bloodshed.
No more blood.
Fine.
I am very excited for this. It's great to have these players with us. And with that said, let's get underway. We began this some weeks ago in the small town of Saltmarsh, which is small but strategically extremely important, and in which a number of things are converging. Forces of various kinds, various political machinations, and of course the party members themselves. Some of them who have lived for a long time in Saltmarsh, like Morthwyl. Some who are more recent arrivals, only about a year or so, like Silvo, but still not from the town directly. And some who almost just recently, within a week or a couple of days even before the campaign began, Waves and Brine, coming from separate places, arrived in town. And what they've discovered is not only is there this political factionalism and so on, but that there are all of these sort of strange disturbances happening around the outside of town. And so the party was hired ultimately after a facing down of one of those political factions in town. They were hired by Scarin Wavechaser, who is the butler of the current sort of lead council member, whose name is Anders Solmore. And Scarin Wavechaser assigned them this job of going to this allegedly haunted house and investigating to find out what happened there. Why? Because it is believed by members of the town council that it may not in fact be a haunted house, but may in fact have instead been a den of smugglers and possibly even slavers, people who were operating outside the law and using this fiction of the house being haunted to keep anyone from interfering with their plans. The party, of course, likes nothing so well but to interfere with other people's plans, and so they went to the house, and when they arrived there, they found a number of odd things, giant weasels, giant snakes, for example, and when they got inside the house, they also found other odd things, like tracks leading to doors downstairs, like huge screams and shouts, things that terrified certain members of the party who will remain nameless, but who may involve a certain cosplaying individual today and someone who is a pirate. So there may have been that may have happened as well. And when the party went downstairs, finally into the basement, they ended up fighting off an ambush, and they came and found a secret door into caverns below, and the caverns led them ultimately to a battle with a man named Sabalet and his crew of, apparently, smugglers. Sabalet, it turns out, is not some kind of minor operative, or at least not not minor for the party. He is indeed got some powerful magic, and the party itself was close to death before he called off his men and basically said, all right, I'll spare you if you work for me. Because there was an artifact, he said, in the house that he wanted found, and he wanted the party to be able and go find it. He tossed them a potion each, which healed them, but also began, according to him, a 24-hour effect of poison. If they don't get the antidote for this within 24 hours, the party members will die, again, according to Sabalet. And so the party was sent off back up into the room to find this artifact. One particular place had been of real interest to Waves, a place that had a bar in front of it that said, danger, do not enter, what are you doing, abandon hope, all ye who enter here. I made the last part up, but you get the idea. And so the party eventually was like, okay, fine, made a big plan, arranged everything tactically, opened the door, and revealed a set of skeletons who were very much not dead, but undead. They came out, wandered towards the party wiped out a bunch of them, and all seemed to be going very well, until a skeleton dressed in wizard attire showed up, said something about I think it was, the people lurk below, something like that, and then started tearing the party up by firing acid flasks at them and by ordering his skeletons to do other work, etc. And so the party barely managed to get up the stairs and close the trap door, having taken out 4 of the skeletons, but there were still 2 down there, plus the skeleton wizard, alchemist, artificer, whatever it is. And both Morthwyl and Silvo held the trapdoor down, heard an explosion below them, felt the trapdoor grow warm, and then finally Silvo heard in his head Sabalet telling him that he was, and I quote, very naughty, and now you must be disciplined for your naughtiness. And that was where we ended our session last time. And so as we pick back up this time, I just want to throw 2 things out there to the party. 1, just to Silvo, which is, of course, you've heard that. Nobody else has. 2, to the party more generally. I do want to point out that since you were sent here originally to determine if there was a smuggling/slaving operation, they didn't tell you had to stop it. They told you had to find out about it. So one option, although I know you have the 24-hour thing you're worried about too, one option is you could also report all of this to the town. So I just wanted to throw this out there that you could go report to the town council, you could explore the house, you could throw yourself off a cliff and hope the shock will get rid of the poison. I don't know. You could do many things, but I just wanted to let you know that I know you do not have a lot of hit points and you're very tired and all that kind of stuff in the house, but it's up to you in terms of what you want to do. There are options available to you. And with that, I will now hand things back over to the party. What would you like to do?
Head back to the town.
I mean, as a sound plan.
Brine is
Nice.
like coughing and wheezing and like
Yeah.
bloodied and bruised.
Silver's pretty much
Just looking at everyone.
holding his guts in.
I mean,
Enough's
it
enough.
sounds like a great idea, but what about this poison?
Hey, well, it's only been, what has it been? An hour maximum since we took the
Yeah,
potion?
about an hour.
Hey, well, that was only like an hour ago. We got plenty of time to go get some backup, clean this place out, and hunt for an antidote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Did you do a short rest before?
Yeah.
You did, right?
Yes,
So,
we did.
yeah, so at
So
most it
a
would be 2
couple of
hours.
hours?
At most, yeah.
a
at
couple of
most.
hours.
Okay, sorry. On you go.
So
Well-
how long's it been roughly?
So about 2 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
At maybe 2 and 15 minutes at most.
Silvo's still got his hands up because I'm pretty sure Waves is still pointing a sword or crossbow at them.
Not very obviously, more like at your leg at this point.
Right, okay, yeah, cool. Stop me running away. Excellent.
Just quick thing for Arv. Is that there the front door?
No.
Oh.
That the
That looks like a fireplace.
yeah, exactly. And let me actually tell you what it is.
This looks like the back door that we originally saw.
That's correct, that you saw from the outside. And that door that is over there to the west, as I find the right spot, which is not that other one, that door to the west is basically it's basically kind of like a fireplace, as you say, but it's long since, dark. There are no ashes or anything like that in the fireplace. Been a long time since it's been used.
So let's get out of here before spiders start coming out of that.
So yeah, I'm with Morthwyl on this, and Silvo's like literally holding a wound shut on his stomach because of the slash that he had across him, and the acid burn is still like quite fresh on his face. Like, yeah. Plus, we might want to leave because Angry Wizard Man is right downstairs.
What do
And
you mean?
he's
He's right downstairs.
Something
I
exploded, but
I kind of thought that it would be a good idea to have some backup or have one of them waste the other one. So I kind of told Sambalet that we'd found what he was looking for, and I think he's kind of turned up and nuked the skeletons. I mean, obviously we did most of the hard work there. Let's not forget that.
So he's
now
going
he's
to
kind
think
of-
we've betrayed him now.
and our
No, he's
health
gonna think-
doesn't seem to be his number one concern, considering the last time he healed us, he poisoned us.
Well, to be fair, he's not angry with all of you. He's just particularly annoyed with me. I'm the one who called him in, so I'm the one who's kind of stabbed him in the back.
Well, I think we're all in this together as far as retribution could be concerned. Brian's going to turn to and put a hand on their shoulder. And I'm just going to say, I know that you're very, very, very keen to go and take care of the monstrosities that we've witnessed downstairs. However, maybe we need to come back when we're a little bit better prepared. What do you think?
Waves looks longingly at the trapdoor with this little impatience that she sometimes has, but she also looks at you and Silvo, who are like dropping on the floor, at least parts of you. And so she like shrugs, puts her crossbow away, and motions towards the door.
We've been poisoned, stabbed, acided. What else now? And it's not even lunchtime.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, that's very true.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't know if I was going to open that door with Mage Hand. That was all. As I stood up, that door kind of opened on its own next to Morthwyl.
This one? Okay.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
just
the
going to
back door.
check it for traps.
I was going to say, 3 fireballs
Yeah.
go off. Oh,
It's-
damn it.
Yeah. That's less Silvo making that happen, and more the fact that he is painfully standing up, and the exit has appeared. Has appeared before him.
Yes. So the Morthwyl, as you're sort of leaning over to check it for traps, suddenly the door like opens and you're
Yeah.
Morthwyl just
Silvo's-
looks at the door and he's like, sure, why not? Makes about as much sense as anything else in this damned place.
Yeah, sure. That's the thing that makes the most sense right now, actually. Also, Silvo's looking when Brian, you said about we're all in this together in regards to how retribution works. Silvo looks at you with a real kind of confused look, like you are really not from here. Like you are literally fresh off the boat. Like he just doesn't compute in his head at all, and that's very hard for him to hide when he's like holding his insides inside.
Brian doesn't notice. She's very, very
Right,
used to
yeah.
the crew mentality. It's a given. A crew like lives or dies on trusting each other. So it's kind of she doesn't even give that a second thought.
As you're preparing to exit, I would like let me see I'm going to ask for Waves, because I'm going to assume Morthwyl's moving out the door. So I'm going to ask for Waves and Brine to make perception checks for me, please.
Oh God.
Okay, first roll of the day. What's the betting? I fumble and fall on my sword.
24.
Nice.
24, wow. Okay.
Perception, yes?
Yes, please.
Start the rolls the right way.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, that's
Ah,
not bad. That's good. It's a good
Okay.
roll.
Brine and Waves, both of you hear a strange echoing right next to you, actually, Brine. And you hear a... Someone seems to be yelling for help, except muffled. So it sounds like they're either gagged or something, but there's something... and banging on the wall next to you, Brine.
Oh God.
Hold your horses, guys. Hold your horses. Not that I've ever ridden a horse, but I've heard the saying. There seems to be something behind this wall. Now, I don't know that we're in a position to go and investigate right now. However, if we came here to help someone, they definitely don't sound like they're there intentionally or with their consent. Can I walk up and down this wall? We know that there was a secret passage in the mess hall. Can I walk up and down this wall and have a look at the fireplace and check this wall for any potential?
Wave just kicks the door open.
While that's happening, Morthwyl's
Is that a
just going to go out
door?
here
I
to
thought
the
that was a
window.
fireplace.
Yeah. No, the one on the left is a fireplace.
This is a fireplace. Yeah, the one on the right's there's a door.
This is a door,
Okay,
presumably leading to the front bit of the house or the main bit.
Brian's had a
position
nasty
myself-
knock on the head. She's checking for the walls,
That's
even though there's a perfectly obvious door in the wall.
Okay, I'll take
I'm-
each one of you in turn. I know Brian's doing that. What are you doing, Waves? And then I'll get to you, Morthwyl.
I stand in front of the door. I draw my rapier and I put a hand on the doorknob if there's a doorknob, and I kind of wave the others to make space.
Yeah, I make space. I was
Okay.
going to stand behind Waves, but I'm like, that's the last thing Waves wants right now.
Okay, so I've got that. Morthwyl, I'll just quickly tell you. There are a couple of darkened windows on this side, and you can just make out, as you're kind of looking through the window, you can just make out what looks like one side of like a desk of some kind. But it's barely visible because there's so much soot and dirt on the windows that so you could break the window if you want and go and, and that would certainly let in some light, but that's what you can see from there. It's definitely a larger room than what you're seeing, but, as I say, soot and dirt and all the rest of it covers it over, so you just see the opening part of a desk.
Okay.
Okay, so Waves, you are going to assuming Brine and Silvo form up next to you. Are you opening the door?
Sorry, quick question. Where's the trapdoor again?
Trapdoor is right
Specifically?
behind. Oh, sorry. It is right here. In fact, I will even.
Yeah, excellent. I'm going to stand on the trapdoor. Because we did not lock that.
Yeah, good thinking.
That's the last thing we need right now. So I am all 90 pounds of Silvo soaking wet with a brick in his pocket is going to be standing on this trapdoor.
Here you go. I'm going to put this over here.
Do you want me to move this and then,
And then I'm going to put
I
this.
can kind of...
I'm going to move this to the bottom. Give me a second. I'll move
Okay.
to the.
I've been eaten by a mimic trapdoor.
Let's see.
Mimics are so dangerous.
There we go.
It wouldn't surprise me at this stage. Thank you. Right,
Yeah.
so I'm going to stand on the trapdoor.
And by the way, that trapdoor, by the way, had a layer, basically a little rug over it, so it was definitely concealed until you came through it from this end. So, for what that's worth. Hey, Lone Wolf. Okay, so and also hi, Memories in a bit. Right. Okay, so you did that. Brine is going up in the walls. Brine, are you like tapping along the walls, by the way, or are you just kind of like, what are you doing as you go up and down the walls to determine?
I'm as I say, I'm a little dazed at the moment. I'm still listening out to see primarily if there is only one voice coming from the other side of this wall. I know that I can hear that there's a voice,
Right.
but specifically that there's only one of them.
Okay. Yeah, let me have you make another perception check for me, please, to see if you can determine it. You can still hear the thing, but
13.
yeah, I think that's enough to be able to tell that it's not likely this is another voice. That said, though, Brine, it does seem a little odd because the voice sounds a little echoey. Like, it's not right on the other side of the wall, or you would be hearing it literally just bumping next to the wall with you. And it's not that. It's a little echoey. But as I said, you can still hear it.
I'm gonna mutter to myself as I'm listening out, but verbalizing this so that Silvo and can hear what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's like it doesn't sound like they're right next to us. It sounds like they might be maybe in a tunnel or a hole, or there is definitely some kind of echo going on behind this wall, and because I've got quite large elven style ears, they start to twitch a little bit, and I carry on, just like verbalizing my.
The half elf was just like,
findings.
how did you do that? Like, I'd never been able to make my ears twitch. So they don't sound like they're right nearby, Brian.
It doesn't sound like they're right behind this door. It sounds like, not that they're far away, but that this might not be like a standard room. That they
Silvo
might be
looks up at the ceiling.
in a hole or a tunnel, or
Could they be upstairs?
Brian saying that makes Waves think that this might be just another recording again, and she listens at the door.
So make a perception check for me, Waves.
11.
It's a little. First of all, it's not nearly as audible at the door as it was. I mean, you can still hear it a little bit, but not as much as up where Brian was when you first heard it. This does not sound to you like the same kind of repetitive sound that you heard that kind of clued you in about the thing by the basement. That doesn't mean it's, that doesn't mean that it's a real thing. It could also be getting faked, but it is definitely something a little bit different than what you heard before. And you agree with Brian that there is something odd about it in that it's a little echoey, and especially down where you are, it's a little more echoey than where Brian is.
More echoey. Okay,
A little further away. Yeah.
I very carefully start opening the door just in case something bursts into flame or eats me or something like that.
You'll be happy to know that you neither burst into flames nor are eaten.
Oh,
It's acid.
It's acid instead. No, instead what you see is there is a passageway that opens up into, you can see the passageway here runs about 30 feet or so to the east. And then in here, there seems to be a larger room that it's entering, although it gets a little dark up there, so you have to kind of go further in to see. And there's a door up here to the north and a door to the south in this passageway, but nothing leaps out and attacks you, and you do not burn.
I look back at Brine and Silvo and say,
Well, perhaps we'll meet again. If you live that long, farewell.
and walk through the door.
I'm gonna kind of like
Just
slow motion. No, wait.
But
And I look at Silvo and we can't leave her.
What? Well, she's leaving? She's just going? With an angry wizard downstairs. We're not in the best of shape. Go after her!
Yeah. Is there anything first before I go after Waves, which I absolutely am going to do? Is there anything in this room I know in the previous room there were some wine barrels or something like that? Is there anything I can use to roll over the trapdoor so that Silvo doesn't have to stand on it?
unfortunately, the only thing that is in this room is that there is some refuse that you can see, some basically just trash and stuff like that, which is over here in the southeastern corner. But it looks like mostly, it's not like concrete bricks, right? It's mostly like, or cinder blocks. It looks like just mostly trash and, you know, loose food, like rotting food and stuff like that over in this corner. So not a lot of stuff to hold it down.
Is it something that we could at least put over the opening side of the trapdoor, so if someone opened it, it would make a noise?
If you cover this with the refuse, it will conceal it. I don't think it would weigh it down.
It was more along the lines of if Silvo
would it make noise?
wasn't in this room and the trapdoor was open, whether it would be an audible.
It depends on how close you are. I think because it's light, you might hear some like rustling, but definitely not something that you'll hear from very far outside the room. So if you were like 50 feet away, you would definitely not hear anything from the door being opened. If they blow the door open, you'll hear that. But the stuff you put on the top would maybe rustle and shift, but it wouldn't make a lot of noise beyond that.
Everyone's just like, wait, what did he mean? Blow the door open? And it just like slightly leans away from the trapdoor. There's now a foot on the trapdoor.
Brine is like scanning the room and realizes nothing really that I can do like as quickly to help. So I'm going to like wrap as much stuff in bandages as I can and draw my scimitars, like stretch out a little bit, and then I'm gonna follow Waves.
Okay, Morthwyl, I know you just entered. What you see that Waves has already left and Brine is leaving, and Silvo has got one foot on the trapdoor and looks panicked.
Hey, where the bloody hell are they going?
I don't know. The kenku just wandered off. They just said something about see you if you survive this long, and then just left. They heard some muffling in a different room. I don't know if it's here, upstairs, downstairs. It could be anything. Look, go and have a look in that pile of trash over there, and I point towards the corner. See if there's a brick or a bar or something we can use to heat up and try and weld this shut.
I don't think you understand how that works, lad.
Anything right now. If you've got anything in your bag, anything in the room that can just jam in the trapdoor to wedge it shut or keep it locked or something like that.
I'm just trying to think, because I do have my carpenter's tools.
Exactly, there could be some wood.
But, yeah, but I think it opens upwards, so...
Yes, it does.
The sound of splintering wood is louder than the sound of quiet hinges.
Yeah, I'll go look in the rubbish, because there doesn't seem to be anything I can repurpose in here, furniture-wise, like downstairs.
There's mostly kind of just loose debris. There are some loose stones, but they're not very big ones. You know, it's possible that you could try to put together... Well, the only source of wood in the room, technically, is the wood leading outside to the patio. And the patio, because you were just out there, does have a bunch of loose paving, like, you know, stones and stuff like that, like that used to be on top of the patio, like tiles, basically. And those would make a decent amount of noise if they were to slide off the door. They're probably not heavy enough to hold it down, but it would be better than dealing with, you know, leaves and paper and whatever the heck is in this refuse pile.
I pull my crowbar out and go over to the patio and start trying to prise off some of the tiles.
You do so with ease. You don't have to make a check. They practically fall off as you're doing it. Lot of damp underneath. You can see a bunch of mold. There's also a couple of mushrooms growing below. It's, you know, very damp. It's a nice damp environment for
mushroom-rich
spore-driven. Yes, for spore-driven things.
So I'll transport some over to the trapdoor.
Okay.
I was going to examine the trapdoor. Yep.
No. You examine the trapdoor. I want to ask. I have a question afterwards.
Sure. What's up?
No. I'll ask you afterwards. Let Morthwyl do what he's doing. Let Morthwyl do what he's doing quickly.
Okay, go ahead, Morthwyl.
He's looking at the trapdoor. Is it possible to nail it to its frame in any way?
Yeah. So the answer is yes, but not for long. You could nail it shut, but not like you couldn't piton it. You know, like you could a door, because there's just no purchase that you could get on it, especially because of the angle. You could probably nail a few metal nails in, though, that would make it so that it would take a little bit to open, but it would not last for long. But you could probably nail it a little bit, yes. Also, I do want to warn you, you will make noise closing it in that way down below, like anyone would hear you hammering to get the nails.
That's a good point. He doesn't, strictly speaking, know where we've gone at this point.
That is true. Speaking of which, the thing I wanted to ask was, has Sambalat said anything else to me?
No.
Okay, it's just been radio silence, basically.
Yep.
Shit. Okay.
Just echoing in your mind the last instruction.
Yeah. Just like, that's worse than threats. Like
discipline. You know, like,
yeah.
He's not mad, he's just disappointed.
He's not mad, he's just psychotic.
Well, I won't go ahead with nailing. I will pile up some of these tiles on top of the trapdoor, though.
Okay. And you do that until you have a nice little heap. Silvo, you're going to have to move aside to let him do that.
Yeah,
if you want
that's
to.
fine. That's fine.
So you pile refuse and stuff like that on top of it. Takes you about, I would say, it'll take you a couple of minutes to do that, which means this will be happening while Waves and Brine are dealing with that other hallway. So I'm just letting you know this will be happening at the same time. But it shouldn't take you more than a couple of minutes to do that because the tiles are so easy to get from outside. So as you're doing that, I want to ask Waves. Well, what are you doing?
I found another door. So I'm gonna, still with the rapier in hand, also carefully open this. Well, first I'm going to listen at the door if I can still hear somebody calling for help. I mean, if they're dead, it's just over anyway.
Okay. Go ahead and make a perception check for me, please.
As I'm following waves as well.
Okay.
I
door.
am. As I'm following waves as well, I'm also listening out, but because I'm very paranoid. But also, do you think it's better if we maybe come back and do this? It's just like we're not very prepared at the moment, and I know that you've got the best intentions, and I'm absolutely on board with helping people, but it's again, it's a timing thing. Do you think we should do this now?
I nod and I say,
Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
I mean, I was going to say that myself.
You're not wrong.
And I kind of sigh and resign myself to the fact that I'm in this anyway. I'm not going to leave waves. Oh, okay, if we're going to go and do this, that's fine. Okay, right. But I do position myself slightly behind waves.
Yep.
Because she's got a shield.
I note with
I
some of you.
motion to Brine that I'm listening towards the door.
I'm right, and I do want to note that, of course, Optimus Prime has given us our marching orders, and therefore, yeah, you do hear on the other side this, the same sound, but it's a little louder than it was when you were outside the hallway door, back here, Waves. But it still does sound a little bit odd, and like a little echoey, as if it's not right there. But you still do hear it, yes.
Yep. So I'll carefully open the door.
Okay, so when this
Very
door...
carefully.
Very carefully. When this door opens, you see the following. This room quite obviously was some kind of writing room or study. And you know that because against the wall under the windows, right over here, is a large wooden, what must have been a writing desk, probably, partially broken and riddled with damp rot. And there are 3 drawers in each side of the desk and a large central drawer. The latter one is closed, so the central drawer is closed, but the other drawers are all open, and 2 of them have been broken open forcibly. Because you can see that the latches are broken and the locks are broken. And you can also hear this echoing sound. You're going to need to make a perception check, though, to find out from where, but it's coming from somewhere inside this room, but obviously there's nothing in the room that, shows it. There are 2 windows over here, by the way, that are both very dark and soot-covered, and there's a little bit of light peeking through, but not a whole lot.
Perception check just for Waves or for Brine as well?
Both of you can make them if you're going to go into the room. So if you're in the room, then you can both make these.
I'm staying behind Waves, but I am following her.
Okay.
I move into the room and listen.
Okay.
16.
Okay, and go ahead and make that. You can make that check for me, Brine, because I assume you're, as you say, you're right afterwards.
Totally unperceptive.
You're just you hear the sound of a kenku paladin moving carefully.
I'm so close behind Waves that her feathers are actually muffling my ears, and all I can hear is I can't hear anything.
Your feathers rustling.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately for both of you, Waves, you do hear it. The sound is coming from here. It seems to be coming from a fireplace.
I move over and very carefully listen at the fireplace.
And in the fireplace, you hear... It's got to be coming from upstairs. It's drifting down through the fireplace.
So, Santa is stuck?
I was going to say, or it's Santa Claus. Those are the 2 options. Yeah. No, presumably...
Wasn't that the story of the Gremlin movie?
Oh, yeah. See, that could be that. So you're either dealing with gremlins or Santa Claus or none of the above, and it's coming from above. But the sound of this sound is definitely coming from above, and it's not like triggered. when you went to the basement stairs and that sound started going off, that Wilhelm scream, it stopped, remember, when you left a certain point. This has not stopped from the point of when you heard it in the wall, when you went through the doors, and now when you go over to the fireplace. And it's a little louder here, but is definitely coming from through the fireplace and from upstairs somewhere.
I poke my head into the fireplace and look up the chimney.
Okay.
If there is such a thing.
Okay, you do that. And when you look up the chimney, you see utter, complete blackness. And you also kind of feel some weird kind of dust on your face, Waves.
Is the chimney narrow enough to climb it?
So, I live in real life in a house that is a 200-year-old former sea captain's house, and there are multiple chimneys in this place. And I can tell you that old-style chimneys, many of them, were not nearly as narrow as people would think. In fact, if anything, they were too wide. So looking up this chimney, very much like the chimneys that I just described, it does look like you might be able to climb up it. But there are, first of all, there's not much light here at all, Waves, so you would need to have a way of lighting stuff. But also, even from the back of it, you can see that there are like some loose bricks and, things like that. You're not sure how stable the inside of this chimney is, but theoretically, yes, you might be able to climb up it. You don't know whether it gets narrow or higher up either, but maybe. It's obviously cold and dark. This has not been used as a fireplace for quite a while.
Can I make like an intelligence check to see if I think this is a good idea?
You want to make an I think you can make your own check right now, personally, with you.
Yeah, but I so very often fail, and maybe Waves is just smarter than me.
Can I?
Just roll a d6. 1, 2, 3. It's a bad idea. 4, 5, 6. It's a great idea.
Go ahead, Brian.
You say that as if I haven't had a bag full of dice here.
Yeah, that's right.
Brian would like to put a hand on Wave's shoulder as a comfort thing, because I know that Waves, from just the interactions we've had so far, I know Waves has got a huge amount of empathy and moral compass. And I'm just like, well, hang on a second. And I am going to call up the chimney, because if we can hear them, they should be able to hear us. And I'm going to call up the chimney and say, hello, can you hear me? One grunt for yes.
So
there we go.
So there's a pause, and then you hear, roar!
Okay, we're here to help, and I'm going to go through some kind of elaborate system of communication, because Morse code doesn't exist, and I don't know it even if it did. And I'm going to say, okay, do you know whereabouts in the building you are? 1 grunt for yes, 2 grunts for no.
Roar!
Okay, are you on the 2nd floor of the building?
Roar!
Are there any guards there?
And there's just silence. It occurs to you didn't give him an option for don't know.
Okay, that's a good point. And I look at Waves, and I without speaking up the chimney so that they can't hear me. We know that the floor up on floor 2, we've been told that there are some fairly precarious beams, and I know that quite a lot of floor 2 hasn't even been searched by Sanballat or his men. Now, I assume that he's responsible for whoever this poor soul is, but they seem safe at the moment. Maybe we should go and come back when we're slightly more prepared, and we can come and save this soul.
And then there's more banging sound from upstairs.
Waves looks from you towards the chimney, from you towards the chimney, down at her feet, down at your feet, and then towards the chimney and points towards the chimney.
I don't think we should go on our own. And I don't think Morthwyl and Silvo in a position to go anywhere at the moment. We know Sambalat is fairly annoyed with Silvo, and we're all fairly hurt. Maybe we should come back with reinforcements.
Waves points at her chest, points at the chimney, and says to you,
Meet me at the bar.
Brine does not laugh at that comment. She takes it super seriously. And I say to Waves, if you go, I'm going to have to come with you. I can't leave you on your own.
Wave seems to become nervous. She very obviously wants to go into the chimney, but not endanger you.
Looks for the save yourselves sound clip that she carefully has.
Hi, you fools.
By the way, Morthwyl and Silvo, at this point you would be done having put the stuff on top of the trapdoor, so you could then, if you wish, follow or not, but now you'd be able to leave. If you
I mean, I assume nothing's tried to come through during this time.
They have not so far, no.
It seems like a sufficiently
Can I
long
hear
enough
anything?
amount of time.
Yeah, I get the impression. I do get the
If they were
impression
coming,
gonna
they
come
would have
through
been
this
coming
way.
by now. Yeah.
Unless they're coming the other way,
Or
We
they haven't
shut
found the
that.
artifact and they're just letting us carry on roaming.
possibly.
Hmm.
I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns here. Silvo's still like holding this big wound on his side closed.
Oh, we need to get that looked at.
Yeah, a little bit. I'd kind of like to keep all.
Pretty
of
sure that
this
bit's supposed to be
this bit.
inside.
Oh God! Oh, it's leaking again. Oh jeez. Oh, that's infected. Oh Lord. Just holds himself even tighter. Right. What are they even doing? And I will telepathically whisper to Brine, because I have a feeling that it will. I mean, Waves may kill me if I do this again. Brine, what are you doing?
Well, we think someone's trapped in the second story. They can hear us. We can communicate through this fireplace, but Waves is very, very keen to go and help them now. However, I feel that we should come back with reinforcements. I'm trying to stop Waves from climbing up a chimney at the moment.
You're trying to stop. What? We're dying at this point. Get her out of the house.
I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. And then turn back to Waves and say, I really think we should come back. We need to come back anyway, because we need the antidote. However, maybe if I can clean up these wounds a little bit, and so if we can get Silvo sewn up, maybe have a little bit of a rest, we can come back with some more vigor and find a better way to go and rescue this soul.
I pat you on the shoulder and point towards the door.
We kind of like do the whole like shoulder and
No.
shoulder, arms.
No. You go towards the door.
Oh
Yeah.
no! Point me towards
Yes,
the
you
door.
go towards the door.
Okay, no. Okay.
Brine reaches the door and is just like, oh, this is a great time, right? Right, Waves?
Yeah, and I turn around and she's not following
There's just
me.
legs going up. There's just
No,
legs
I'm
going up the
just
chimney.
here.
I'm climbing into. I'm starting to walk into the chimney.
Okay.
You just stay here.
I'm going to follow Morthwyl.
I'm whispering to Morthwyl and Silver. I can't stop her.
And
I
at this
can't
point,
leave
she's
her
right
either.
here, so you just see her legs down the chimney.
I turn to Morthwyl. I'm like, we should probably go in there. She's trying to climb into a chimney. I have no idea.
Oh, by the blasted beard of the cob, she's not going to be happy till she gets us all killed.
Well, we're halfway there.
Only halfway. Okay. I say to at all the time, Waves is climbing. I'm saying, if you go, I'm going to have to come with you.
One moment. I think.
You have the perfect sound clip for this.
I have my in chimney sound clip.
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request. Means
I
no.
recognize. I recognize that voice from
Just
somewhere.
like wave at you to stay away.
You don't wave at anything. You were trying to climb a chimney, but
Yeah,
your
okay.
feet
You're in
kind
a
of
chimney.
move.
All I'm seeing is dust and soot.
Yes, there is a lot of soot coming out, clouds of soot. By the way, I do need you, Waves, to make for me, let's see. I will take an athletics check here, or strength. If you have athletics, I'll take that as you're making your
I have
way up this
athletics.
chimney.
I have athletics. Let's see if I can climb up a chimney or drop to my death. No, it's a 1. It's a natural 1.
So there's this so you're reaching up and then you grab one brick, and the brick slips out, and Brine and probably Morthwyl here, you just see a cloud of dust and soot come out, and then you see an extremely dirty bird roll out of the bottom of the fireplace, and from above you hear.
I finally look like a proper kenku.
Yep.
And I say,
Ugh, yeah.
Right, seems about right.
Are we in the room at this point?
Yeah, I would say. Well, Morthwyl is. If you want, Silvo, you could sneak past.
I'll scooch up.
both in there, and you can see what I described before. I can re-describe it if you want, but there's mostly the window. You now see the desk that you saw outside, Morthwyl. There was indeed a desk, and there are 3 drawers to the left, a central drawer. 2 of the drawers on the left have been broken, forcibly opened, but the center drawer is closed. Sorry, go on.
Morthwyl's sort of intention is drawn by that, so he's going to go over to the desk because why only loot 2 of them?
Okay.
Is what he's thinking.
I'm sorry,
Definitely
I misspoke. 3 drawers in each side of the desk, and a large central drawer. And all of the 6 drawers that were 3 on each side are all open, 2 of them broken open forcibly, and those are all completely empty. The central one, though, is not open, and in fact is locked, Morthwyl.
Okay. Well, Morthwyl's going to examine that while other people do what they're doing.
Okay.
I'm going to start brushing the soot off. It's okay. It's fine. There'll be a better way. There'll be a better way to go and find him. I'm just brushing the soot off.
I take a piece of cloth out of my pocket and I hit Waves with it on the nose. I go, don't stop doing that, you absolute lunatic. Look at the state of us. We can't help anyone in this state. Get out of this house now so we can get patched up. Look, my insides are nearly out. Brine's nearly dead. You've been on the floor more times than I can count. And Morthwyl's basically completely out of anything that he can do with his lockpick. Get out of the chimney.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. And he goes back to checking the central drawer for traps.
Okay.
Silvo's just like, stay out of this.
Don't you lecture me, laddie.
We're falling apart at the seams. Come on now, guys. I think we need to stick to the original plan. Let's go and get some rest. Maybe something to eat. Maybe stitch up Silvo. Not in the
we will
metaphorical sense. I meant in the literal sense. And then maybe we can try and sort out the rest of our poison problems.
While you're over there, Morthwyl, make an investigation check for me, since you're checking for traps.
Yeah, cast this with guidance, which may not make a blind bit of difference, but... Ooh,
15.
that's 15.
Yeah, so definitely locked. And you don't think trapped. You think that there might actually... It's possible there was a trap on one of the other drawers, because there seems to be some scorch marks on the inside of the other drawer. But you don't think this one is trapped, from what you can tell, though, it might be concealed even more cleverly, but it doesn't appear to be trapped to you. But is locked. You could try to get it open, obviously. If you wish.
Well, Morthwyl's going to try and pick the lock then.
Okay, I will have you make a dexterity check. If you've got thieves' tools,
yes,
then I will have you use those.
And with guidance, that's a 19.
Yep, and you're without, it's like you have to fiddle with it a little bit, but then, and you pop it open, and inside the drawer, the thing seems to contain a bunch of old valueless documents, all written in common. They seem to be a bunch of receipts for purchases of like chemicals and laboratory equipment and stuff like that. And there are a number of them that are sort of covering the bottom of this drawer, like that are, scattered about.
He's going to start scanning through them, like one at a time, to work his way down towards the bottom of the drawer. So just like,
Okay. As Morthwyl's doing that, Brian Silvo waves anything else that you three want to do.
I'm just looking really intently at Waves right now, just to see what Waves does next.
I mean, bird faces don't have that many expressions, but you have the feeling she looks enraged at being smacked.
Okay, that's it. I've had enough.
And I try to take the rag that you smacked me with away from you.
There's this moment where there's just me and Waves just like this, just hand slapping each other over this rag.
Morthwyl mutters something to himself about a bunch of children and keeps looking.
While Brian is trying to keep the two of them apart, I assume.
Yeah, Brian is looking back at Morthwyl, going like, "Do you want to give me a hand?" And then she's like, she's got one hand on Waves and one hand on Silvo. I go, "Come on, guys! There's enough people to fight. We don't have to fight amongst ourselves. This is not what a crew does."
I want to grab the rag, throw it on the floor, and stomp at it angrily while looking at Silvo.
Okay, I'm gonna have you.
I think, given that you would, I think you would just do that. To be honest with you, I'm a bit fearful. Like I said in.
Oh, okay.
In
So you're not. All right. Well, then
I kind of slapped you with the rag because I didn't want to like bop you on the nose just in case the impact of my hand accidentally took my 1 HP off of me.
So you're able to do that then, since Silvo is somewhat cowed. I would say, Waves, you can do that. Like literally grab it, throw it on the ground, and stomp it. And Waves is stomping up and down on it angrily at the same time that Morthwyl, you get to the bottom. And I need you to make another investigation check for me at the bottom of this drawer.
Okay, and with guidance again. Oof, 18.
Ooh, nice.
Okay. When you get to the bottom, you're doing all of this and then you hear and it sounds hollow at the bottom of the drawer.
Oh, hello. What do we got here? So I start checking to see if there's some sort of latch or thing to lift up the bottom or release a catch.
You think it might just be able to be crowbarred up. You think it's kind of like a false bottom. So if you were to open it up with a crowbar, when you do so, there is something. It looks like a vial of some kind, wrapped in cloth.
Hello, what are you? It's not handily labeled antidote or anything by any chance,
It is not. It is not. But it does have liquid in it.
I hold it up and examine it. Is there a test? I'm not sure what I could check against, but something to maybe recognize it?
I'm going to give you an intelligence check, and I'm going to have you do this at advantage, Morthwyl, because you are, in fact, an artificer.
Excellent. It just so happens I'm an intelligence build. Let me add... And I'll do that again, and I'll add guidance to whichever one is highest. Hang on, intelligence, clicking the wrong thing there.
By the way, is this guidance that we're doing, this is a cantrip, not a ritual, right?
It's a cantrip,
okay.
yeah.
So it's like 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, okay. No, that's fine.
It's essentially, I can only have it active one time, but I can keep essentially just doing it over and over again as long as I can touch the subject.
Okay, so
Sometime later.
When you...
I go 17.
17, okay. You're pretty sure you do know what this is. You think this is at least 2, possibly doses of a healing potion.
Oh, praise the beard of Bacub.
Get behind that.
And I turn around and go, hey, you'll never guess what I found.
I'm still holding Silvo and like getting between them both.
Finally paying attention to what's been going on behind him the whole time. It's like, Oh, what is it now?
As you just see, like Waves is like stomping on, like looking as angry as it's possible for a kenku
Stop
to
it!
look.
That's my good rag.
Stomping on the rag with Silvo kind of both looking and also slightly moving away from.
Get your feet
Waves'
off my
annoyance.
rag. I don't know where your feet have been. Well,
And Brine is trying to like kind of there trying
Leave
to
the
calm
poor
him
guy
down.
alone. Half of him's on the outside that shouldn't be.
There was a rag bopping on the nose. I don't think anyone meant any harm. I'm just trying to make the peace. What did you find, Morthwyl?
Found us a healing potion, didn't I?
Oh, that sounds brilliant.
I hold up and shake it. I reckon we could get about 2 uses out of this.
Oh, I mean, a few more would have been even better, but 2's better than none.
Indeed. I hand it to Silvo.
I immediately drink one of the doses.
Okay, 2d4 plus 1, I think it is.
2d4 plus 1. 7.
7.
That's a
Oh,
good
you're
roll.
fine. You're
Beat the
bits that are
spread.
outside or back inside
I
now.
just-
You're feeling hale and hearty.
All of my slice wounds and burns just disappear.
Yeah, high single digits now. You're all good to go. And that uses
Ooh,
up
that feels
about
better.
half of what's in the potion.
I'm like, that's good. And I pass it back to Morthwyl.
Aye, well, I don't think we can get poisoned twice now, can we? Yeah. No offense, he says to Brine.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't guarantee that. I mean, Brine is also looking really roughed up and bleeding and like.
And has been poisoned twice so far.
And has been poisoned at least twice so far.
You hear "Hoo!" from upstairs.
I pass it over to Brine. Here
Uh,
you go, this'll pick you up.
I don't know what everyone else is on, like HP wise.
Morthwyl's at 4 out of 11. Silvo's now full. Waves is at 8 out of 13. And you are, of course, at 1 out of 13.
Yes, well, Morthwyl being A, sort of a backline sort of combatter, and B, the only person who hasn't dropped below 0 this whole time yet, isn't going to take it for himself.
Level 1.
There. Oh god, I got a 6, so I've got a total of 7 HP.
Listen, I mean,
Better than 1.
Better than 1.
yep.
It's much better than 1.
You notice, by the way,
Thank
both
you.
Silvo and Brine, you notice that the taste of this is somewhat smoky and you almost, I guess I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Sort of like like flat soda, or something that's been it's clearly old. It's been manufactured. It has not lost its potency, although from what you could tell, Morthwyl, there were only about 2/3 of the vial were full. So there probably was a time when there would have been 3 doses, but over time it's, gradually dropped down to 2. But fortunately for you, the potency of the doses that remain seems to be the same as normal.
So we can infer it was from the original or made by the original occupant of the house.
Pretty good guess based on where it was found, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I like. Oh goodness, that feels a bit better. It leaves a bit of a aftertaste though. Okay. But I'm just gonna look around at the others and say, should we go and regroup? I know how keen Waves is to go and try and rescue this poor soul upstairs, but we still have a few hours before the deadline. What are your thoughts, guys?
We'll just gets a bit of bread out of his pocket and starts eating it to taste away, because he's always, for some reason, always has food in his pockets. He's just like, well, to be honest, I feel much better, so I say we go rescue the prisoner.
Morthwyl's wandered over to have a look at the fireplace.
Okay. It is now covered, and the outside of it too, Morthwyl, with a bunch of soot. And you see that there is a large bird impression that seems to have been left in a pile of soot at the bottom, as if a large bird has fallen into it and then crawled out.
Yeah. Morthwyl goes, it's crawled out. So Morthwyl crawls in.
Okay.
And you sort of hear just like a...
And you hear the knocking, like something yells back.
I see the problem. It was shoddy.
And it sure is that, by the way, Morthwyl.
At this point, he comes back out of the chimney. He goes, maybe if you're trying to climb up there, you might want to be using something like these. And I hold out some pitons that I have on me.
I grab them.
Could I? Are we determined to climb this chimney? I'm looking around to the others.
I hold up one finger.
Okay.
Yeah, why not? It's not the craziest thing we've done today.
Guys, I if you want me to shimmy up, I'm happy to go and check things out.
Which way does the door open on this room?
This door opens inward.
Okay. Maybe we could barricade ourselves in with this desk.
That sounds like a good plan, especially if I'm going to climb the chimney.
I want to climb the chimney.
I don't want to die.
You can climb the chimney.
Okay.
We have a very angry magic man who may be looking for us.
Okay. I move towards the chimney and make motions that I do want to climb the chimney.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna stand next to. Wait a second. Sorry for interrupting, Brian.
Okay. If he stands next to me, I hiss at him.
No. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. I look a little solemnly, and I kind of tilt my head to one side, and I'm like, sorry about earlier.
I didn't say anything.
I didn't mean to pop you on the nose with a rag. I'm sorry.
If you're determined to climb there, I might be able to give you a bit of assistance with that.
I nod.
Okay, so I pull out my lockpick and I just sort of poke waves with it, which might not be the best idea right now.
Yeah.
And then I pull out a little black sphere, give it a shake, and I look into it and I go, you may rely on it. There you go.
Okay.
I've now cast guidance on waves.
Okay. I was going to have you roll damage for the lockpick. You do 3d20 point. No! Okay.
The kenku explodes.
Damn it. Okay. So, all right, you do that, and you're trying again with these pitons waves as you kind of go up?
Do I feel like the pitons will actually help me? Because if not, I'll just leave them behind.
Yeah, no, you think they probably will help you. What it means is that you'll have to climb up part of the way and then sort of hammer in some pitons so that even if you fall higher up, you'll only fall down to the pitons, not all the way to the bottom of the chimney. So it's almost like making little handholds on the way up.
Okay, so I do the climbing thing again with the guidance this time.
All right, so let me have you make that athletics check again, please.
Okay, and the 1d4 for guidance.
So as you go up, you are this time able to hammer in, and you hammer the piton in very easily. And at first you're like, oh, this is great. And then you're like, wait, why is it so easy? And you see that there's there's a significant crack like in the masonry. So it's like, you're like, is this even going to hold, type of thing. But, it does seem to hold somewhat. And you climb up sort of further. And then you get to a spot where waves, you get to the sort of top of what you would expect to be this chimney. And instead of leading out to the roof or up to the room, the chimney quite literally, or the chimney quite literally bends. So it basically goes flat, almost like it was a duct, like in a building. And you can still go in it, and now it's flat and seems to be leading somewhere, this chimney, covered in soot and smoke. So you can actually, if you look down, you can see a bunch of soot-covered, maybe Brine or Morthwyl or possibly Silvo kind of looking anxiously up at you down at the bottom of the chimney.
Okay, I climb into that flat area, look down, and give a thumbs up.
Okay.
And then I continue.
Now, light source Waves. Do you have the ability to see in darkness? Did confirm this?
Nope, I have not the ability to see in darkness.
And I forgot to give you the shiny stone.
That's okay. So you're now in darkness.
Wasn't the shiny stone thrown into the room with the skeletons?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
That's correct.
But yeah, I mean, it will only lead in
Give
one
me an
direction.
action, I'll have another one.
So I just... Well, I look down to the... They can still see me, right?
Barely.
I've moved over to the desk to try moving that over to the door.
Okay, then nobody can see me. Then I'll go without. Then I mean, this will not lead in like many directions. This is not like the chimney labyrinth, I hope. So I'll just follow the... It is a chimney labyrinth, I knew it.
And the next 4 sessions are just us trying to find waves in the chimneys.
I tap on this wall, tap, tap, tap. No, all right, next one. Next quadrant, tap, tap, tap.
This is the other person tapping back, it's not her.
Hey, Arv, remember all that stuff, the nice things we said about you as a DM? We take them all back. This is the worst experience of our lives.
So I crawl on. Crawl.
Okay. While you're crawling, let me ask the other folks down below what you're doing while Waves is crawling along. What are you folks doing?
Morthwyl's trying to coerce the others to help him move the desk to block the door.
For what it's worth, I will try and help.
What about you, Brian?
I will lend a hand as kind of probably the tallest and maybe the strongest member of the group to move this desk as swiftly as possible.
Yep.
I very politely get out of your way.
whilst doing that, I'm going to say to the others, we need to get after. Do you have anywhere? Do you have a torch? Do you have something? I have a torch, but I'd rather not light it in the chimney where I might smoke out waves. So do you have any way that
tail feathers will burn? I realized that I was being stupid, and I crawled back, and with a P-turn, I put up my rope. I've got a rope with me, the small one, and I will drop it down the chimney.
Oh, okay.
Because I was being stupid.
Now you see a rope kind of fall down to the ground, Brian, while you're looking in the fireplace.
Okay.
In response to Brian, Morthwyl says, well, if we can find us a small stone, or you can whip up another one of them shiny stones.
Is there anything in this room that will do as a stone or I mean, anything?
It doesn't have to be a stone. It can be just any tiny non-magical object.
Okay, can I have a look in, even though the drawers have been rummaged in, just to see if there's something?
Stone broke loose
with a bit of paper.
Stone broke loose when I first climbed the chimney.
That's right. There are stones at the bottom.
Yeah. I was just thinking one of the sheets of paper I pulled out of the drawer.
Or that too.
All right,
yeah, there's several fascinating invoices, Brian, for you to use.
I start looking down. No, they haven't carried the 3. I'm going to put the paper back down, and then I'm going to pick up a rock or something from the fireplace and give it quite urgently to Morthwyl.
Okay. Well, first of all, desk move.
Yes, that one, because the two of you are doing that, I would say, although it's heavy, it doesn't require much to bring this over here. And so you're able to move it over to now block the door.
Excellent.
It does make a little, just one note, it does make a little bit of a noise. It's impossible to be stealthy while moving a desk, just so you know.
Yeah, I figured.
So Silvo, I can imagine you kind of wincing because it's, like as it makes noise over to the door.
Great.
And you actually hear down below, Waves, you hear the sound of echoing, like something's being moved below you.
Nobody's screaming. It seems to be fine.
Everything seems okay. So now the desk is over by the door, blocking it. You see there was a rope down below in the fireplace. And while you're all looking up, I will mention that right now, the thing that you're following continues to move ahead, and you just sort of press on through darkness, Waves. And then at a certain point, you feel a little bit of a draft coming from above you, a draft of air. And you notice two things. One, there is air rising above you, and as you look up, you can see a little twinkling of light, as if that's the end of an actual chimney that leads out. And then also, there is something in front of you. And by that something, I mean what looks like another fireplace leading into another room. And this here would be what you would see. I would say the only light that you're going to be able to see here, without having a light source, is just coming from the windows right here. And you yourself are in what looks like a fireplace here. And so you can see that there is indeed some light filtering through these windows, although not a whole lot. So it's extremely dim in here, and it's not very easy to see stuff here.
Okay, I listen because I can't see.
Okay, make a perception check for me, please.
I might have just ended up in the wrong room. 22.
Okay, so what you hear is you do actually hear a "hoo," but this time the sound is not as echoey. It doesn't seem to be coming from this room, though. It seems to be coming from elsewhere, but not from above or below you. You think you're on the right floor, but it actually sounds like it's coming from somewhere out here in the darkness where you can't see.
That must be such a loud person.
Yep.
That we could hear it down there. Okay, I carefully climb a little bit out of the chimney so I'm not in the way if somebody is coming after me.
Okay. Which leads me to the question,
just a little bit.
like just say like there, so you're just,
Yep,
I'll reveal
just
a little bit. Sorry, like that. Let's see. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Just like that.
What about, are the others of you using this rope, or are you staying where you are?
As soon as I have a light source from Morthwyl, I'm hoofing it as fast as I can after waves.
Yeah, Morthwyl's
I'm
going
going
to
to.
use an action to turn a piece of paper into a light source.
Okay.
I won't use the brick because I don't think any of us wants to be lugging a brick around while we're climbing. So there, that's got a 5 foot bright radius, a fan followed by 5 foot of dim radius.
Okay.
So Brine's pretty much already heading up there. I pass that over to Brine as she's getting in the chimney going, here you go. This will let
Thank
you
you
see
so
where you're
much. Thank you so much. And I follow.
Okay, I will
Jim.
need you to make an athletics or a strength check, but this will be an easy one because of the rope that's been left behind. So it's not an advantage, but it'll be an easy check to make. So if you have athletics, I'll take that. Oh yeah, I mean, you practically just, you just scamper up. You just rise up like Mary Poppins, no problem, like straight up, get flat, turn around. Yeah, exactly. Going up a thing, step in time. All right, so you get up to the flat area and then go straight over, and you are able, with the light, as you're peering down behind you, Waves, you can see a little light sort of twinkling as it comes towards you, and then you see the face of soot-covered now, face of Brine, who has made her way to, let me bring you up there, to here.
Okay, I'm gonna. It's a little dusty in there. I've got the piece of paper out, so I'm stepping out of the fireplace and having a look around to see where Waves is.
It's a good thing you did, because Waves is standing right next to you. I can now reveal more of this room. So, this seems to have been at one time maybe a fine... Sorry, chat. Let me bring you up there. And then I'll come back to Morthwyl and Silvo in a second. A fine master bedroom, but long since decayed. There is rubbish scattered around. There's what looks like a tall wooden wardrobe against the wall opposite the fireplace here. You've got a door here. You've got 2 windows letting in some light through their soot-covered exteriors. And you see Waves, who is standing quite literally next to a missing floorboard, like like an inch away from it.
I immediately do the whole, when you brake hard in a car and you immediately put your arm in front of the person in your passenger seat as a like reaction. Is that just me? I'm gonna do that.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And immediately kind of like put my arm in front of. No, hang on. Watch your footing. I did tell you the floorboards were missing up here. We were told this.
I let her push me back, look at her, and say,
Ooh, hello.
Okay.
and I seem to be quite pleased with the situation.
Here you go.
Sorry.
I mean, really, you've been through a lot, Brian. I think is
Brian is just like there's some emotion in her laughter. It's one of those slightly hysterical. Is she really okay? Kind of laughs.
Exactly. But now you can, as the light is up, you can see that there are several missing floorboards here. And yeah, now I should say the floorboard missing does not mean the entire 5 feet is open, but it's one of those things that waves would have clearly fallen down through part of it, like her leg, and then who knows if the rest of it gives way. You were warned, of course, about this not being the most stable upper area, but you can now see these missing floorboards in several spots around the room.
Okay. I turn to Waves and go, although these ones are already missing, we don't know how loose the other ones are. These floorboards have obviously rotted through, so every single step is crucial. I think we need to be very, very careful which boards we stand on. Yes?
I nod, and then I point questioningly towards the chimney and say,
Silvo. Morthwyl.
I don't know if they're coming. Morthwyl made this glowy paper for me, and then I kind of followed quickly. Honestly, I didn't really look back to see if the others were following. I'm hoping they will.
Speaking of the other group,
Two.
Exactly. What exactly are all of you doing as I fire up the light in my office, reflecting? I need to increase that temperature a little bit.
What are you going to say, the combat music then?
No,
Genuinely.
No.
This is the worst horror game
going.
I've played so far.
The theme is called Boo, but I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Okay. And we're gonna.
I'm 100% gonna go up the rope.
I will give you some guidance if you like.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you say this was an athletics check? If I'm trying to do it flamboyantly or with a little jump, could I do acrobatics instead?
Here's the deal. You can do athletics and or strength check, and that will be, as I said, easy because of the left behind pitons. If you want to do the awesome looking acrobatics one, you can, but it's going to be a harder difficulty insofar as you are attempting to parkour up a chimney.
Right. I'm going to attempt to parkour up a chimney.
Oh,
with
God.
Guidance, yes?
Well, it only does so much.
Yeah, that's fine. But it's 1d4.
It is 1d4. We may need some inspirations on the deck.
The Echo is waiting for an
fine.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
So literally Cirque du Soleil's "It's Stella," just leaping up, while glitter flies down from somewhere unheard of. Yeah, you make it up
like
with
a rat
no
up a drain
problem,
pipe.
Silvo.
There's a certain moment, Morthwyl, where you think this young half elf has definitely squeezed himself into other people's chimneys before. This is clearly a practice thing.
Morthwyl mutters to himself, I can see why you got in with the Viper Sisters.
And there's light, by the way, that you can see. There's light as you sort of climb onto the flat area that I've previously described, Silvo. There is light coming from in front of you, and you can hear kind of a, "No, just watch out where you're standing." Like you hear some people whispering to each other, something about "be careful."
So my
where you
dark vision
stand.
is fine until I find the others.
Right, exactly. I was going to say, you have no problem seeing, and then you see some twinkle. Are you following it all the way to where you see them?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so that would lead you to here. And as you come out, sort of blinking from the light, you can see Waves. How is Waves looking at you? I'm curious.
Waves looks at Silvo, swallows, and says,
Welcome.
Hi. I just kind of you see me plot out of the chimney like I've just stepped through a doorway.
Where exactly do you plop?
I'm going to immediately make sure that I'm literally, as soon as I can hear anyone coming, because I'm aware that they might be following us. As soon as I can hear someone coming, I'm immediately on guard and telling them to be very, very careful. Loose floorboards, big holes in the floor. Just be very, very careful where you step.
Okay, so Silvo,
if
you would hear that
entirely
for sure.
possible. Yeah, if entirely possible, I will come out of the chimney, notice that the floorboards in front of me are a little bit worse for wear, and step here.
Okay, you do that. The floor does creak alarmingly, but does not give way. And that leaves us Morthwyl, who's the only one still left on the bottom floor.
I'll do this with guidance. It's going to have to be strength because I do not have athletics.
Okay.
Funny that. That's a 17.
That's still fine. Again, using the power of the piton, you make your way up, and then again, you come through and find your way, crawling your way out to see yourself on this second floor. And before we go any further, I'm going to reset us here and welcome everybody to episode 299 of Pen and Pixels. You are watching the incredible D&D with GOG crew playing a very entertaining session of Ghosts of Saltmarsh, the sinister secret of Saltmarsh, DM'd by yours truly, Arvan Eleron. I am joined as always by PiranJade, by Darksaber2K, by PeripheralMike, and by Inanda. And if you like these people, and you should not only follow us here on GOG.com, but you should, and subscribe to us and all that good stuff, but you should follow all of them on all their individual channels and various things that they do here, there, and everywhere across the internets, because they're all good people, wonderful players, and wonderful streamers, and just awesome people. So you should do that. That is the deal with that. And I actually have an answer to that. A question that was just asked in Zoom, which is... Okay. I was just explaining a little bit about how everyone got up here. So there we go. So everyone is now up on this second floor, apparently. And you can all hear, actually now, not super loud, but you can hear the same sound, but it's coming from outside, somewhere over here-ish, you think. And as I said, this room is, I've described it before, but must have been a bedroom at one point, but is long since decayed. And there is a wardrobe over here that's closed, windows down here, and a door up here.
Yeah, so I've got 60-foot dark vision just for reference as well, in regards to lighting and things. So Morthwyl looks at all the holes in the floors. He's like, looks like they went cheap when they built this place.
Not like your craftsmanship at all. We've seen your work. It is.
I should have got longer than 200-300 years out of this.
I've not seen his work, but if it's anything half as good as he says it is, then it's got to be good. Got to be good stuff.
Lord Mead,
we have, because
specifically.
he built the barrier downstairs.
I went mad for a rush job.
Yeah, that's true. Silvo just remembers the horde of skeletons just crushing through the barrier. Yeah, rush job. So this wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me more about this wardrobe?
I can. It is a tall wooden wardrobe, and its door at the moment is closed. It has two handles on the outside. It doesn't appear to be locked from what you can tell.
I will open the wardrobe.
Okay. When you open it, you see there's two items in it. There are a pair of old cracked leather boots that are just sitting there on the floor of this wardrobe. And then there is a ragged and stained cloak that you can see as well.
There's nothing on the floor of the wardrobe.
Just the boots, but that's
Just the
that's
boots,
only-
boots and a cloak.
That's it.
Okay, we're gonna close the wardrobe.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Close.
I stare carefully at the floor and start moving towards the northern door.
Okay. All right. You're able to make your way to the door without a problem, as long as you again, the floor keeps creaking, but you're fine despite that.
Yeah, I will not jump or something.
Right. I figured as much.
What
about you,
Brine is also going to head towards the door, but because she's slightly bigger, I'm going to stick to the edges of the room and go via the corner where it's hopefully slightly more load-bearing rather than the middle where it looks weaker.
Yep, and indeed, when you get to this spot, there's a lot less creaking here and in the square where you're standing, in the 5 feet where you're standing. So that seems to have been borne out, what you thought.
Can we hear? Can we listen as well, just to see if we can hear anything other than this moaning up here?
Sure, you can go ahead and make a perception check for me. Sure.
17.
Yeah, other than the sound, I mean, the guy's, whatever this voice is, does seem to drown out a lot of the rest of what might be here. You do hear an occasional creaking and then blowing of wind, although the blowing of wind may be coming through from the fireplace that you just exited, and the creaking may just be because, as you kind of lean forward to listen, you got, like there's a little bit of creakiness on one side of the area of the 5-foot area where you are. So that may be more of it than anything else. You don't hear anything obvious beyond that except for the...
Okay, I'm going to turn to the others and say, it's safer to stick to the edges for the most part, but just please watch where you tread.
I think I might stay in the fireplace for now, considering I have scale mail and a shield, so probably weigh quite a bit.
Okay.
I look over to Morthwyl and I'm like, don't step on that bit, that bit, or that bit. And those are the bits that creaked when I stood on them.
No need to tell me about wood, laddie.
I inspect the door for a moment because I'm pretty sure if this door is going to make a whoa, whoa, whoa sound, somebody's going to jump into one of those holes.
Okay. Yeah, if you're just doing like a sort of visual inspection, nothing obvious seems to come to mind. Are you trying to investigate it by tapping on it and stuff like that, or?
No, I don't think I'll just more look at it.
Okay. Yeah, it just looks to be
something...
a normal wooden door in decent shape, from what you can tell. Okay. The door does open inward.
Yeah. Wait. Inward.
Yes.
Okay. So when I open it, I don't want to step back onto that square right behind me.
No.
When I can visually see the door opens inwards, I'm going to step backwards so that can step to where I am.
Okay.
Yeah, please. So I'll carefully open the door and trying to not fall into a hole, not be eaten by the door, just survive another day.
Here's what you see. Outside, you can see that this has opened into what looks like another passageway, and it extends east and west. There are windows, and there's some light actually coming in from the window right opposite the hall from where you open the door. To the eastern side, this over here seems to open up into what looks like some kind of a junction, but it also might be an open area, and it seems like if you remember where you all were in relative to the house, this might be leading in the direction of the big area that the down below passageway opened into. You didn't go into it, but that's where it was headed. And then over to the west, there's another door that you can see over here. So you've got passageways up here. You've got a passageway down here, and then a passageway off to the east.
One of these contains your destination. The rest contain doom. Choose wisely.
And down the hallway in this direction, you can hear, which seems louder now, and not nearly as echoey, but it's coming from down here somewhere.
Okay. I very carefully peek around the corner if I can see some more. I'm still not convinced about this. This person seems to be very desperate. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay.
In which case, I pass Waves the piece of paper so she can actually see.
Okay. You can see more area now. And what it looks like is that this looks to be an area. Now, you would need to actually walk up to it to see, but this looks like it might be an area overlooking the floor below. And I mean over here specifically. But you would need to actually walk over there to be sure of it. The voice is definitely coming from beyond it, though. Somewhere down here, beyond where your light reveals. So somewhere down there is where this voice is coming from.
Okay. I try to carefully stealth in that direction.
Okay, let me have you make a stealth check, and then I'm going to ask Silvo and Morthwyl what they're doing.
11.
Okay, so you stealth-wise, you make your way out, and Brine, as Waves goes, you notice very large soot-covered bird tracks that are kind of making their way through, and you feel a little like squelch, squelch, push, 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 like you feel like as you're carefully moving down the hallway, you feel like there's something that you're leaving behind, although you're not sure what it is, Waves.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay close to Waves, but also keeping a very close eye because she's got the piece of paper. So
right.
We're surrounded by light, the two of us, keeping a very close eye on the floorboards that we're about to tread on.
Are you trying to be stealthy as well, Brine?
Yes.
Okay, let me have you make a stealth check, and then I'm going to point out something that you notice, and then I'll talk to Morthwyl and Silvo.
Stealth. 17.
Okay, yeah. So you're actually going more quietly. I have this image that as you walk, Waves is leaving behind this dust, and you're like brushing it.
Just
like
carefully
brushing the
dusting it
tracks
to
out
the
of
side
way.
or making it look smooth.
Yeah. As you go along behind, as the two stealthers move forward. In the meantime, Silvo, what about you? And then I'll come to Morthwyl, who was in the fireplace. What are you doing, Silvo?
So I am gonna approach Brine from behind and try and get to this position.
Okay, I think you can do that. You can see they're making their way down the hallway. Oh, and I'm sorry, Brine, I said I was going to mention something you notice. This here looks to be stained, which means water damaged. Now, water damaged, anyone who's ever lived in a place where you've had water damage doesn't mean the place is destroyed and it's going to collapse underneath you. It just means that there is exposure to water, and above you can actually see, or above that area, you can see that there is a little bit of dripping water. So water is dripped down from holes in the ceiling. There's actually light there too, and has damaged the floor here. But that, again, does not necessarily mean it's just going to cave underneath you. I'm just pointing it out because you see it.
Okay, I'm gonna put my hand I'm gonna put my hand on, because I'm following. I'm gonna put my hand on her shoulder, and say, just be very, very careful up ahead. I can see the dripping, and unlike the treated wood that we use on our ships, water and wood it can disintegrate. It might fail. So can we just be extra careful during? And I'm pointing to the section and pointing to the drip so that Waves know exactly where I mean.
Okay, you can do that. And Morthwyl, what about you?
I'm gonna wait till they've moved on so I can actually get out of the door, because I don't trust the floor. Like I say, I weigh a lot. Morthwyl knows enough about wood that he might have to make a run for it.
Mm-hmm.
So once he sees that the doorway's clear, he's gonna proceed around the edge like that to end up where Brine currently is where he's aiming for.
Gotcha.
Assuming everyone's sort of moving on while he's doing that.
So Waves, you could move if you wish here, like to this square that I just pinged, and then Brine could come up behind you, and then Silvo behind that, and then that would lead everyone in the direction they were supposed to be.
I'll stay where I am. I'll let Morthwyl go in front.
Okay, you want Morthwyl to go in front? Okay.
Yeah. We don't want to just wander into a cross section.
Okay.
So.
Well, assuming all goes well, that's where I'm ending up then.
Got it. You're, by the way, the thing right before the door creaks like, "Roar," and you think, Morthwyl, you actually feel a little bit of the give in the floor, and then you get off that square, get off that area, and pass through the door onto the hallway.
So I arrive at the cross section and carefully peer left and right before I do it, because there might be like, I don't know, an arrow trap or something.
Indeed. To the north, you have a passageway leading to more doors. Indeed, there are traps. No, that wasn't what I meant. And then over here to the south, you can see indeed what I indicated before. That was the indeed part, which is that this seems to be a railing. And down below is a large room, which is on the first floor. And that would suggest that somewhere over here are probably stairs leading up from that first floor room up to this spot, you think. And then there's again another door here and a door here up to the east, and you continue to hear the "Whoo!" coming from over here.
Okay. I move towards the wet spot.
Okay.
And stand in front of it.
Okay.
And very carefully like poke with one big bird toe on it to see how it is.
So the top, like, I don't know, half an inch, I don't know what that works out to, 4 or 5 centimeters maybe, probably less, more than that, I guess, feels a little squishy, and so that's a little bit worrisome. But then as you feel down, it reaches a very solid core underneath it. So it might just be that it's just the top which has been damaged, but the bottom, the below the surface, the board itself is still stable and secure.
Can I reach back with one hand and like try to grab Brian's hand?
Sure, and go ahead, Brian. You were going to say.
I was going to say I'd like to just preempt something that I would like to do if this floor gives way.
Okay.
So that I'm not doing it after the fact, so
Gotcha.
that you know what I would like to do is it's not an action. I'd like to if the floor gives way, I would like to do the shape water cantrip and freeze all of this dampness in the floorboards so it becomes tougher. So at least she could get off it. I know it would make the terrain slightly more treacherous, but it as a way of if these floorboards start to go, I can immediately freeze them. So at least they can hold her weight long enough to get off them.
Nice. I like it. Okay. Absolutely. You can do that. You can be prepared to do that. Okay. And so you now, Waves, I think, reaches out her hand to you, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm going to take her hand.
And then I'm going to move 1 foot on the wet spot and try and slightly move my weight over.
Yep. So you feel the kind of just slight give and then this reassuring solidity underneath it. It does creak a little bit, but you're able to cross over to here without difficulty.
Okay. So then I do that, like sliding sidewards step by step.
Okay.
Move over.
And as you get over to this side, you can now see that there are stairs leading down to the first floor of the room below, and more windows over here. And there is a passageway that extends out this way, and the voice is coming from down it. And again, getting less echoey and more like closer all the time, coming from somewhere over here. You're,
how does this voice?
And as you're up here, you can now tell that part of what may be happening here is there's kind of a resonance, and you can almost feel the sound of the banging in your feet. You wonder if whoever is doing this is actually like banging on the wood or a pipe or something and transferring it to get over to you. So the voice, you're not sure about how the voice is. It's not super loud, but it definitely is like audible. But the feeling of the banging sound that I've been talking about, you really feel more than hear, for what that's worth.
I'm sorry, I couldn't look for a moment because I was answering Effect Live. Could you do the thing on the map again?
And yeah, I can do that, yes. And Effect Life has inspired Waves before heading to bed. Thanks, Effect Life. We will speak soon. Let me just mark that down quickly. Bear with me.
Oh, that's really kind of Effect Life. Thank you.
Life inspiration. Okay. So I did that. Save that. Go back up to the top. That's so I don't forget to make the adjustment on my own channel. And then go down there. Good. Lovely. All right. Now, sorry. Back to what we were saying. Sorry, Pyron. What did Waves want to do?
I as a player was asking if you could do the thing on the map again where I hear it because I missed it.
Yes,
because I
yeah,
was
sure.
typing.
Right here.
Sorry, but I wanted to thank Effect Life directly. So thank you. Okay, so I hear the guy is still not giving up and still doing its morning thing. Yeah?
Yes.
Not suspicious at all.
But
Okay,
I do want to
to
emphasize though, just one quick note, that it's not like it keep like you're a cat following a string and like it keeps being pulled away from you and you keep like it has gotten louder in the way you would expect it's getting if you're getting closer to the source. I did just want to point that out. I don't want to create extra paranoia when, this is a perfectly normal house where everything is exactly as it seems to be.
But I was surprised that nothing jumped out of the desk nor the wardrobe. So I move along a bit so that the others have enough space to follow me over the damp thing. But I offer my hand to Brine to do the same as she did, to like lead her over a bit in case it does break.
I'm going to take Waves' hand. I'm going to tentatively step forward, but once again, get ready, get the action prepared to potentially cast Shape Water Cantrip and freeze the water if it starts to go. And then again, I'm going to kind of edge like by the wall where it's maybe slightly more secure and try and creep over.
Yep. Once again, it creaks a little bit, but you were able to cross it without much difficulty.
Excellent.
Morthwyl and Silvo, what about you?
I'm going to do the same thing when the other two try and cross as well.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, again, keeping near the wall like I saw Brian do, and try and make my way across to there.
More of a creak again, and you feel more of a, like there's a grrr, and then you hear like a k, but you get across okay.
I'm going to swap places with Morthwyl because I think I need to be within 5 foot. It's within 30 foot, so yeah.
It's a 5 foot cube of water, I think, but 30,
I can be within 30 foot though, so I'm still close enough.
Okay.
Reach
all right,
out
Silvo,
a hand
what
to
about
Silvo.
you?
Very much. Just while I'm stood here, is this area right here walled off? Is this a wall
that's a
Is
railing leading down to the room below. So if you look over the railing, you can see the room below you. In fact, I can probably reveal that now.
I was just going to ask: is it just a normal kind of entrance way? There's no. I don't want it to be like we're all sneaking across this balcony and like Sambalat and like 20 hobgoblins are all stood at the bottom of the stairs.
Nope.
Going,
let me actually show you what this is. Actually, you can see it now as you're looking over the railing. It's this room down below is a musty, dirty entrance hall. And there is a corridor leading into the west wing of the house that you recognize. The walls are bare. There are bits of smashed furniture lying upon the floor. There's another, you can't quite see the corridor over here, but it makes sense based on where you were before. There is the staircase that I mentioned climbing up to the next story. The stairs look safe to climb, although the balcony rail seems to be broken in several places. And then under the stairs at the north end of the hall, so over here, there appears to be another corridor leading east. So this does, and you can see the door here clearly to the front of the house is down there.
Cool, excellent stuff. Well, at least we know where our exit is. I'll try and make my way over to Brine.
Okay, your creak's less when you go over.
Okay, cool. I was going to say, can I ready an action of flamboyant jump and land if it breaks?
Sure, you could try to do that, but it actually does not break through.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll save that for later.
Okay. And I would say Waves is far enough now that you can see, I should also have shown you that there are some windows over here. But it's far enough now that you can actually see the end of the corridor over here. There is a window on the eastern side over here. And the sound of the is coming from somewhere in here.
I carefully sneak on. Sneak.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to sneak as well, but I'm also going to be looking very, very carefully at floorboards and things like that.
Okay. So far, so good. You're able to make it over. Are you? I should have asked if you're being stealthy as you do all this. Continuing to be stealthy, or if
I am
not.
so stealthy.
Okay.
I'm just
Let me have another stealth check for you, please, as you're making your
like
way
an
along.
owl.
I'm
an
being
owl.
super
Like an
stealthy as
owl.
well. Again, brushing up the dirt prints.
Yeah, the dirt prints.
Although the water seems to have
Exactly. I was just gonna say that. Yep, the water has brushed them clean. But go ahead, Brian, and make a stealth check for me. And Morthwyl, I want to know if you're trying to do that.
I feel like me trying to be stealthy will be noisier than me just moving normally.
Like do. Yeah. Okay. So yes, you also are being pretty quiet, Brian. Silvo, are you trying to be quiet as you go, or?
Yes. What I'm going to do first, though, is there enough water here in this patch? Is it like an actual body of water? that we
No,
could
it's
freeze?
damp. It's damp. It's not.
damp.
It's not a puddle.
Okay. Do I think if I froze it, it would be treacherous for anybody coming up behind us?
Yes, potentially.
Would it basically make it slippy wood?
It might be. Yes, potentially.
Okay. I'm going to just lay my hand on it. I know this is a ranged spell, but Silver's not very good with magic. He's just going to basically like put a finger on the wood and try and cast shape water on it to freeze any moisture that's in that.
Okay. I would imagine, Brian, as you're doing this, you kind of hear this cracking sound, and as you look around, you see that the area is kind of sparkling below Silvo as he kind of stands up. And you're pretty sure you know what this is because you've done it yourself many times.
I'm like, well, if anybody follows us, we want to hear him fall over first, right?
We just have to remember it if we come back this way.
Yeah, I think we can get rid of it. Like, I'm pretty sure I've done that before. Like, if something's
just
frozen,
take
we
the
can just get
stairs.
rid of it. Yeah, or take the stairs. Yeah, excellent
just
point.
take the
Or take the stairs. Yeah.
Good plan. I'm going to continue to follow ways, but I'm also, as we pass these doors to the left, I would like to listen behind those. And as we pass the windows, no, the doors are on the right. I know left and right. I'd like to listen to the doors. And as we pass the windows, I would like to sneakily, like, have a look out and just check to see if anyone's milling around or if there's any activity.
Okay, so the windows to the left, you want to check that?
And the doors to the right.
And the doors to the right.
I want to check as we go along.
I got you. Okay, so the windows to the right are soot covered, as has been the case with many of these other things, and so you can't see a whole lot out of them. The doors on the right, I would need you to make a perception check for me in this first room that you come to, which is right here.
That is a 12.
Okay. You hear what sounds like a little bit of a kind of a weird little rustling, which may just be from wind blowing, like fabric, like maybe, curtains back and forth or something like that. But that's all. No sound of whispering or anything like that.
Okay, there are some noises behind here, but nothing I'm too concerned about at the moment. Keep going.
Then that sounds like angry henchmen.
Okay. The next room, assuming waves, you're continuing to make your way up. Then this would be the next one that you would check. I think, Brian, if I understand what you wanted to do.
Yes.
So go ahead and make another one of these perception checks, please.
I can.
Silver's just like, how did we not hear this guy from downstairs? Like, I don't understand how we haven't heard this person from downstairs. We've been closer than this, haven't we?
You were maybe sort of distracted by that whale.
I don't know what you're talking about. We haven't seen any aquamarine animals in the slightest in this house.
All right, you were scared shitless by the blood-curdling scream.
Yeah, North, by the way, just in answer
I
to chat,
didn't-
North is up, thank God. So, as God intended.
I didn't mess myself once today, okay? That's not happened in a while.
Brian, you don't hear anything in this next room. It's just quiet.
Okay, yeah, I'm I can't hear anything. Keep going.
Okay, and in this last door, coming from it, you hear "Roo, roo," quite, loud now. I mean, not loud, but like quite evidently coming from somewhere in here.
Okay, I take out my rapier again and motion to the other that I now intend to open this damn door. And I would like to make a save. Like a save point here now.
Oh,
so we can come back
I was like,
later.
what? I'd like to save against what? I was like, all right, yeah. There's no sparkling
Save against
crystals
dying.
outside.
Quick save.
This is Dark Souls. Your save is back in the town. I don't know what you.
We haven't reached one bonfire yet. Good lord.
Brine is going to draw her scimitars, kind of crick a neck.
Okay.
And say, yeah, go for it.
Hey, Chenrizy.
Okay, I take a quick glance at the door if it's like obviously not a door but a guillotine or something.
I'm going to allow Waves to move past me.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go up behind Waves, and I'm drawing my scimitars, right, limbering up.
Okay.
All right.
I opened the...
It does not look like a guillotine in answer to your question, Waves.
Okay, wonderful. That's fine. I open the door.
Okay. When you open
just
it,
as you do that, as Brine like gets the scimitar out and starts limbering up, Silvo is like, "Oh right, excellent." Like immediately, like suddenly starts like pretending to limber up and stuff like this, like he's imitating.
Yes, exactly.
So he's trying to touch his toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. When this room opens, oh shoot, I made a mistake. Darn it. Sorry. I forgot to mention that the door is locked. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. The door is locked. I forgot to mention that. My fault.
Oh, my lockpicks have run out of pick.
Can I use? Can I use the shape water cantrip like we did before to try and ice lock pick?
I mean, I could just try and pick it and I hold on my lockpick.
Well, first I try to
earlier.
open it and move forward, and I nearly picked with my beak against the door, like.
Make a perception check for me, please, Waves, as you do that.
Okay. Where's perception? There it is. Nope. Just hearing my own beak.
Just like, damn it, poof, poof, trying to open the door. As far as the question about shaping the water, you don't know that there's enough water here to be able to do that, Brine. There's not like, I mean, you could try to make water into something which could maybe go into the lock and break it open, but this seems, and in fact, now that you've taken a look at it, something seems strange about this lock. I don't mean that it's picked, or that it's trapped necessarily, although you'd have to check, obviously. I mean that it seems somewhat newer, this lock.
Okay, and I honestly, I haven't role-played refilling my water skin either, so I haven't got any water on me because I used it previously when we were downstairs.
Are you verbalizing that you want to do this with water?
Oh, I'm just saying. Damn it! My water skin's empty. It worked before. Has anyone got a way of getting through this door?
I've got two options. I take my spare water skin, and I show my spare water skin in my lockpick, and Morthwyl obviously shows their lockpick as well.
So are you giving that to me, or are you doing that yourself?
You may want to save the water.
Yeah.
We might have reason for whatever's on the other side of that door to want to slip over.
This is true.
Everything else in this house has tried to kill us.
See you, Chenrizy.
Yep.
Morthwyl will start examining the lock then if nobody's gonna do anything else.
Morthwyl, perception check for me, please.
Okay. Do this with guidance. 13.
As you go over to look at the lock, Morthwyl, you notice something glinting underneath the bottom of the door. and they're just sort of like you can see the light is glinting off of something just right underneath the door.
Hey, there's something at the bottom of the door here. Can I examine it?
Sure. In fact, if you lean down to it, you can see that
Yeah.
it is an object of some kind. In fact, it looks like
Move
a
out
key.
the way.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. I fish it out from the bottom of the door.
It is a small, fairly, I shouldn't say tiny, but, medium-sized, I guess, silver key.
And it feels like a normal key, not magical in any way. I do have proficiency in Arcana.
Well, go ahead and make an Arcana check for me then.
Okay. Some guidance as well.
Could you just let us know what was it, like our side of the door, or
Yes,
directly
your
under
side
the
of the
wood?
door.
It's our side of the door. Okay.
Yes. I mean, it was a little bit underneath the door, but it was more on your side, obviously.
It's a strange place to find a key for a door.
And it does not appear to be magical from what, I mean, it's not detect magic you're using per se, but it doesn't seem to indicate anything that would make it of magical origin.
Is it me, or is this a mighty weird place to find the key for the door?
It looks like a
I'm
normal
not-
key to me, but I don't know what a magical key looks like, so they all look the same to me.
Hey, but people don't usually put the key for the door on the floor outside the door, in my experience. Under
Does
a
it-
plant
does it
pot,
fit
maybe,
this
but well, that's a good question. I try it in the lock.
It opens. And now you see what I was going to show before. Yeah, the lock is clearly the key for this lock. That you
You're either
somehow
mighty
found
careless,
right outside.
or maybe they
Ah.
were leaving in a hurry. I get ready to slam the door
Ah.
shut.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what you see. In the southeast corner of this decayed bedroom lies a man. He is alive, although he is bound and gagged, and he is clad only in undergarments. He appears to have no weapons or equipment, but next to him there is what appears to be a exposed, because a lot of this room has got, water damage, as you can see, seems to be an exposed board. And he, as you open the door, you can see that he had his fist lifted as if he was going to start ramming down on the floorboard again. And when he sees you, and he's kind of, can't move, whatever.
Can I say hello? We briefly spoke from downstairs. We heard your grunts, your cries. I did tell you we would come for you. Okay. Can I? Because obviously I know that Morthwyl picked the lock. Are you going to talk, or do you want me to?
I want to stare at that person. Like, what do we have here? Do we have like a kenku? What is it?
This appears to be, you can see the slightly pointed ears and sort of longish hair, which indicates you might be dealing, in fact, it reminds you a little bit of Silvo. You might be dealing with some kind of some elvish heritage, maybe half-elven, but otherwise is just lying on the ground, sort of looking very forlorn and completely vulnerable and at your mercy, because no armor, no weapons, and no clothes except for undergarments.
This is a question for the DM. I do apologize. When we took on this quest from I think it was Canis, did he tell us anything about the artificer that lived in this house? As in, I know he was an alchemist, but did he tell us? Do we know what he looks like? Is my
no,
question.
he was an eccentric, and actually, your understanding of it was that it had been a long time since he had lived. I don't mean long, like decades, but it had been some time since he had lived in the home. And so you hadn't really asked about what he looked like specifically, because the assumption was that he's long since gone. What made this a haunted house is the fact that all of a sudden there were voices and lights and strange things coming outside of it. And then your friend, the drunkard, who managed to stumble into the bottom and triggered that, screaming and yelling spell that you all had some fun with earlier on. He also gave information as well. But as far as they knew, the original owner of this house had been gone for some time.
I honestly was believing the original owner was the one downstairs flinging acid at us.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Maybe.
The one who stereotypically looked like an alchemist. If you were to just draw, if you asked someone to draw an alchemist, a dead alchemist, that's pretty much what was attacking us downstairs.
So I am looking around the corner, staring at that person, and I will use my divine sense to detect good and evil.
Okay.
Which says, I'm gonna click on it. Come on, can you? Did it not post? No, it didn't post, because why should it? Not like this? Maybe like this? Ha! I can do it.
Not like this. Not like this.
As an
Our
action,
entire
you can
campaign.
detect good. As an action, you can detect good and evil. Until the end of your next turn, you can sense anything affected by the Hallow spell or know the location of any celestial fiend undead within 60 feet that is not behind total cover.
Right. How many times, by the way, have you used Divine Sense? I think because
I
you used it
have
once
used it
before, right?
I have it once before, and I can use it 4 times per long rest. So
Okay.
this is my
So
second.
this is your second time. Okay. All right. Yeah, you do not detect any celestials or fiends or undead within 60 feet of you.
Okay. Well, then the guy at least is not a fiend. That's something, I guess.
True.
So can we see the whole of the room now, or is this
Yes,
because
you
it
can
looks
see
so
the
black?
the
Okay.
whole of the room. Yeah, sorry, this is a little bit of a wall over here to the left, like right there. It's just dark on dark, so you can't see. But there's a wall to the left, right.
Oh, so this
here.
is the whole room.
That's the whole room,
Mhm.
correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Can I once again check the floorboards?
Yes. Which ones though? Like where?
I'm going to stand in the doorway.
Okay.
And I'm holding. I'm going to ask for the piece of paper from. Can I borrow that a second? I just want to make sure that none of this is going to collapse if we go inside this room.
I hand it over.
So
And I want to have a look at the floorboards.
okay. Let me have you make an investigation check for me. I'm going to have you do it at -2 because you're not right on top of it.
That'll be an 11 then.
So it looks to you very similar to the damp of the passageway that was outside, but you can't tell if it's more or less damaged than what you saw outside in the passageway. It's just the similar kind of thing, but the degree to which it's damp is not as clear to you.
Okay. I'm going to turn around to the others and go, look, there's a lot of water damage in here. As I say, these boards don't look like they've been treated. We managed to circumnavigate the one in the hallway, but there's a large damp patch in here. We know the floorboards give way. I'm happy to go in. I want to stick to the walls, but I'm happy to go in. Does anyone have like a rope or something that I can maybe tie to myself in case I fall?
Morthwyl hands over his hempen rope. He's got a 10-foot rope. Is it 10 foot? Yeah, 10 feet of rope.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to kind of tie it around my waist.
Be aware if you're tying it around your waist and it's only 10 feet, then it means you'll be able to go basically a square before Morthwyl has to go with you, or whoever's with you, right? Because these are 5-foot squares, right? So
yeah, that doesn't sound right, but I've got hempen rope in
normally-
10, but
usually longer than
50
10 feet, actually. Yeah, it's usually 50
that might have
feet.
been me copying it
Yeah.
down wrong then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds more right.
Although I really wish it were 10 feet, so you could just like shuffle behind.
Basically, if you tie your rope to Brine, I tie my rope to Morthwyl, and then
we
tie
all
her rope to
die.
Morthwyl, and then we're all in like this weird contraption.
Hey, Scuba Bomber.
10 is the weight of the rope.
Exactly, Wolf.
Oh, it's the weight. Thank you.
Got it.
Yeah, so 50 feet of rope.
Okay.
That's a lot different.
50 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's enough for me to get 5 squares. Bearing in mind that I want to go.
Farther than that. These are 5-foot squares, remember? So you could go 10 squares with this.
So you could reach that person if you were going around the edge
Okay.
of the wall.
What I want to do is I want to avoid this wet patch.
Okay.
I'm tying the rope to myself.
Okay.
I'm giving the other end to all three of them collectively.
Okay.
So they can all like grab some rope.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come in the room, but I'm going to again hug the wall where it's going to be as stable as possible. So I'm going to go into the corner first, very, very carefully, tentatively.
Okay.
Putting a foot down just to test the ground before I move again. And then I'm going to try and make my way down towards this guy.
Okay. You're able to do that. And there is no creaking in the area that you remain in. And this is also a fireplace. I think that was probably clear, but just in case over here. And when you make your way down, he kind of looks up at you. His eyes are kind of haggard. He is, as I said, gagged and looks relieved.
I'm going to look him very carefully in the eye and go, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to move this. And then I'm going to take his gag off.
I didn't expect to breathe free air again. Thank you. You're not one of them then down below.
Most certainly not. In fact, we're being blackmailed by them below. But we heard your cries, and we couldn't, in all consciousness, leave you behind. My good friend behind me was most concerned for your welfare. We were talking to you from downstairs. We were trying to get to you as quickly as possible.
I've been hammering away on this board up here and shouting until I made myself hoarse, but I thought it was useless. And then I heard you from a great distance, just barely heard a sound of someone yelling something about, were you there? It must have been your voice. And I yelled back, but I didn't think you could hear me. And then there was silence for a time, and I figured you'd gone away. I can't believe someone actually made it all the way over here. What a relief.
Well, I mean, we are nothing but tenacious. I'll give us that. I look around to my crew and just give them all a bit of a wink and a double fingers. We have been tricked before. I'm just learning this from you landlubbers. May I just inquire about your name before we free you from your bonds?
Oh, yeah, it's Ned. Ned Shakeshaft is my name. I'm from Seaton.
Ned Shakeshaft. How did you end up in this predicament?
Oh, I came in here the night before to find a place to sleep. I was on my way to Saltmarsh, and I was hoping to find work as an adventurer, doing what all you lot are doing, except you're doing it much better than I could, obviously. I came to the back door, and I reached the kitchen down below, and then something hit me from behind, knocked me unconscious. And a few hours ago, I woke up. I was bound like this and gagged and stripped of my possessions in the room. I didn't see any attackers or hear anything. I figured someone just did what they could to take things from me and take my stuff and then leave and be off with me. I think it's lucky that I'm still alive, to be honest.
Do I believe him?
Yeah, I was going to say, does he sound truthful to me?
You can make an insight check if you like.
Oh, yes, please.
Insight, you say?
Yes. Wave's eyes narrowing. Inanda, you're just like totally believable.
I'm so trusting.
Yeah,
no one has ever lied to me ever.
Yeah, really, this is who would do that? Who would? Waves, this something about this doesn't feel right to you. The fact that there is a key right outside the door. Oh, and I didn't mention this, Morthwyl. When you put the key in the lock was recently oiled. Got to mention that. And so something about this feels odd to you. First of all, you're not even 100% sure why you hadn't heard this person before when you entered the house, only why now. And, the person's story seems legit enough. I mean, it is true that this is a house that would be a place that one might stop on the way to Saltmarsh, but it also seems like a very creepy, weird place to stop on the way to Saltmarsh. This is not an inn, so...
You would have to get past the snakes and the giant weasels.
Right. Exactly, driven. If you can't trust some guy
And-
tied up in a haunted house, who can
the
you
smugglers.
trust, right? Like who's?
I moved
guards.
towards Brine and put my hand on her shoulder to get her attention.
I'm literally just about to start untying.
No,
this
I
guy.
stopped you.
Yeah,
stopped
but
Take it as read that
I'm
I've-
saying I'm not untying him. I'm just about to start when you stop me.
Take it as read that I've
I-
conveyed about the oiled lock as well, being a bit odd.
So you mentioned that
I-
also, Morthwyl?
Yeah.
When I have your attention, Brian, I point at him and I shake my head, and then I look at the guy and I say,
Bitch, you are so fake.
He's lying. Why would he be lying? I'm gonna back away from him because I'm a little bit shocked that someone would lie to me.
And he's like, why would I lie? Look at the condition I'm in. I've been here for hours. There's no reason for me to lie to all of you. Why? So you can kill me instead of whoever attacked me the first time?
when he says he's been here for hours, that is something we know not to be true because we haven't heard him, so I shake my head at that directly.
Silvo, by the way, what are you doing during this?
I'm kind of just standing in the corner, to be honest with you. I'm still kind of here now. I'm kind of approaching Brine, but making sure I'm not kind of in the way. I'm kind of leaning against the wall.
Okay.
I'm just like shaking my head in disbelief. He's like, but he's tied up. Why?
Exactly.
But obviously I trust my crew implicitly. It has to work on trust. I turn to Silvo and go, but why is he tied up?
Brine, I hate to say this to you, but I've used Get Help before.
This is so absurd. Why would
make
I
you look like you're in
lie?
trouble? I'm saying this. I'm whispering this to
I know.
Brine, so
He's
that
like
the
saying
stranger
it.
in
I
the
know he's
corner
not
doesn't-
hearing you speak.
Yeah.
so-
This could be a trap.
Shocked. I'm shocked.
Just ask him a couple of questions. We'll find out soon enough if they're real, if they're genuine. It's not a long way to the exit. We can keep them bound. We can take them out. We can take them back to town. If not, and they're another sorcerer, we don't want their hands to be freed.
Okay. I'm kind of just like exasperated and go, fine. And I kind of back away because I'm really upset that I was taken in by deception.
Yeah, and Waves is kind of embarrassed because she drug everybody here, and now it's a guy who's very obviously, at least for her, obviously lying. So she seems a bit embarrassed, looks at the guy, waves, and says to him,
Okay, see you later, bye-bye.
and moves to
Oh, you're
leave the
gonna
room.
leave me? What kind of people would come all the way here to find me and risk your lives and then just leave? Because of suspicion?
As I turn around, I say to Waves, can you please put that gag back in his mouth? I don't want to listen to any more of his lies.
Unbelievable.
I'm afraid he will bite me, but I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, he can still say something because I'm doing it like slowly enough that he knows, and I know that he is full of shit. But
And
I
he
give him
says,
time to come clear.
Fine. You can just gag me and go back and report to the precious town council. And you'll never know the truth about this place when you do. You notice his voice gets considerably deeper when he says that.
Wait, are you right in front of the person now?
Yeah, you be a
Is the
step
shake
forward, I
shack?
assume, right?
Can I step there with my crossbow drawn, pointed
Sure.
at this person?
Sure.
I've moved into the corner because I probably couldn't make out a lot of what was being said, but we blatantly aren't rescuing him at this
Yeah,
point.
it's like
so-
something is taking a while. Yes. No,
I back out to where Morthwyl is and go, would you believe? Apparently he lied to us. Apparently he lied to us. He wasn't put here by Sarah Sambalet and his crew. I don't know what to make of it.
So this was a wild goose chase for nothing, was it?
It would appear that way, yes.
I hear that my shoulders slump.
So
No, I say it without out of earshot because I don't want to
okay.
offend Waves.
So Silvo, what were you doing? You had your crossbow drawn, you said?
Yeah, I'm from the hip, not like pointed directly. I'm just at the hip, just in case this person makes any sort of movements. I'm basically covering Waves just in case this becomes a scuffle.
And he says, you can relax, lad. I'm not going to make any attacks here on your bird friend. But the truth is, if you gag me, you're not going to know the truth of why you were sent here in the first place. Or indeed the people that wish you ill. There is a secret about this house, and the people that know it are back at the town.
Sambalat claims he knows the secret himself.
Sanballat. I imagine he does. But who does Sanballat work for? That's really the question you ought to be asking. You don't think he's a free agent operating on his own, do you?
I think he thinks that.
Maybe he does.
I'm going to step forward at this point, and like I'm visibly angry to the point where my hair is slightly wafting on its own. No one knows how it happens.
Wow.
And I say, you have until I count to 10 to tell us what's going on. Otherwise, we're going to gag you and then perhaps make a few holes in you with my friend's crossbow here. So choice is yours.
One. At that moment, from the hip, it's like aimed at a sensitive part of this person's body.
Okay, now
you can't shoot a tied up man. That ain't right.
Right, now I do want to note something also. Waves, for this to happen, there's two ways to do it. Either Waves has to be kneeling next to this guy so that, Silvo is like aiming above her head at you, or you need to be...
I assume that's the position we were in.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
if you're crouching down,
exactly, Waves, either there,
exact moment
where Piran just put her. Yeah, either Waves is there or Waves is back at the other spot but is kneeling. So it's up to Waves where she wants to be.
If I feel like a crossbow pointed in my direction, I'm gonna move to this spot. I don't want to be in the line of a crossbow fire. This doesn't seem healthy.
Okay, so now you have the crossbow there aimed, and so you heard what Brine said, and he says, so it's exactly as they said. I heard rumors that they were going to be sending someone like you this way. They thought they could deal with you now while they had the chance. But go ahead and fill me with holes, threaten me as much as you like, but you're not going to get what you need. On the other hand, if you take me with you, I can give you the information, and the information that I've got has a lot to do with you and with Saltmarsh. Or you can gag me, tie me up, and report everything back to the town council, and then do your best to decide which one of them is going to betray you in the end.
You need to give us more information than that if we're going to untie you. 3.
Oh, fine.
4.
The man's name, the one who is trying to deal with you, is a man named Gellin Primewater. And if you don't know that name, then you don't know a damned thing about Saltmarsh. Now, both Silvo and Morthwyl, I would say Waves and Brine would probably not know who Gellin Primewater is. Well, actually, let me think about that. I take that back. Brine does know Gellin Primewater for a different reason. Waves, you have not heard of this person before. Morthwyl and Silvo, though, know this person. Gellin Primewater is a human. He is actually an older gentleman. He is very well spoken, and he is exceedingly rich. He is probably the richest person, even richer than Anders, who's the one whose butler sent you on this journey. Gellin is the most rich man in Saltmarsh, and he is one of the members of the council. He's considered, for a long time, he was kind of considered one of its leading lights, but he's had a couple of hit a rough patch over the last 6 months or so, during which time Anders' star has risen a little bit as his has fallen. But he's still a member of the council. He's still very well respected. And Brine, the reason you know about him is he made his money by shipping. You made your money by pirating one of his ships. Some time ago, you actually took out one of Gellin Primewater's ships and took its cargo for yourself. So you do know a little bit about him, although you've never met the man. But you certainly know his goods. So yes, he is a trader. He has numbers of contacts all up and down the Azure Sea, leading here to Saltmarsh. And as I said, he's a member of the town council.
Interesting. I turn to I'm not going to say anything of what I know of him. I turn to Silvo and Morthwyl and say, you know of this man?
Aye, richest man in Saltmarsh, sorry. And you say he's pulling Sandbullet's strings. I said that too.
Yep.
Honestly, it's just a bit of a
Just
pompous
give me
ass
1
with too
second
much
here.
gold.
You'll be amazed how much damage a pompous ass with too much gold can do.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But why?
Boredom.
Okay. So sorry, Morthwyl, you said the thing about so he's pulling Sandbullet, and he says, probably. All I know is that Geller wanted to make sure that the party that got sent here never made it back. And Sandbullet was supposed to be doing something of the same business, or at least that's what I thought. Maybe Sandbullet's decided to go off on his own and gone rogue. That would be interesting. Or maybe Sandbullet and Gellar have something else planned that I don't... Gellin, sorry. And Gellin have something else planned that I don't know. I only know my own orders. And
what were your
I've explained
orders?
it. My orders were to bring you here and figure out a way to make sure that you didn't exit. Although, and he kind of looks up at Morthwyl and he sees the wounds and stuff, and he looks at, Brine, you still have a number of cuts and waves too. He says, it looks like the house and Sandbullet have been doing a good enough job of that on their own. Gotta be careful walking into strange haunted houses.
You wanted to trap us and prevent us from going home by appearing tied up and helpless. So what was your plan in this? How were you going to achieve this?
He was going to wait until our backs were turned, gain our trust, and then stab us right between our shoulder blades.
He was definitely set up for us to find. Key on the floor outside was just too suspect, and the lock recently oiled in a house like this. Nobody's doing maintenance.
Look, someone like me isn't falling for get help, friend, and I'm saying this to Ned. I'm sick of being a pawn in other people's games right now. Tell us what you know, or you die here a very slow, blood-filled death.
I think I've already told you what I know. The way that we were planning on doing it was seeing ways that I could eliminate you, and you explained it well yourself. A knife in the back. Something like that would have been very effective, especially with as injured as you already were. Now, as for what Sandbullet decided to do with you, I can't necessarily say. He does have his own mind, that one, although I thought he was loyal to Gellin. But if he's decided to go out on his own, need to be careful with him, that one. He can, they say, read minds, and he kind of taps his head, and he says, it's a little strange when he first does it to you. But usually he doesn't do it to his allies, at least not the ones I know of. Hope you haven't fallen afoul of him. He's slippery, that one.
What do you know about poison?
I know how to use it.
And how about
have
cure
access
it?
to a poison?
Sorry, what was... I heard two things.
Saber, you go.
No, yours was definitely better than mine.
I was going to say, do you know if Sandbullet has access to a slow-acting poison? This would be quite special.
He's never told me about it.
Right up your street.
He's never told me, but it's quite possible. There is a slow-acting poison that Gellin's provided us before, but as far as I know, he's never allowed it to be used out here in the field, as it were. But maybe Sandbullet got special dispensation to use it. I prefer a more, how would you say it, direct backstabbing, I guess.
Do you work for Gellin, or do you work for Sandbullet?
I work for Gellin, so Sandbullet's supposed to work for him, or at least that's the last that I heard. Sandbullet and Gellin and I arrived here separately. Sandbullet and I arrived here separately. Gellin supposedly hired us both, but if Sandbullet's decided to go out on his own, I wouldn't know anything about that. We're not friends, just, colleagues, and only at a distance.
That is a lot of effort to go to just to try and kill 4 adventurers. I think there is more to this story.
You think that you're just... Oh, do you? Well, isn't that the squid wrapping a tentacle for you? Yes, the 4 of you are not just adventurers, you see. Not to Gellin, anyway. There have been rumors of people that were gathering, and apparently he's got operations here that they don't want getting back to the rest of the council. So, what better way to kill 4 birds with 1 stone, or I suppose it's 1 bird and 3 others, than to bring them here to this house and have the haunted house do its work. If all goes well, you're all eliminated, you're out of their hair, and no one dares go near the house for another month or 2 at least, during which Gellin gets whatever he's doing downstairs.
And what is he doing downstairs? I very much doubt that you would walk into this as blind as you appear to be.
No, that's where you're wrong, lass. I make sure to keep myself only focused on what I'm told to do. There's all kinds of rumors that Gellin's been involved in smuggling all up and down the Azure Sea, but nothing's ever been proven. I've heard the rumors same as anyone else, and it could be that there's access to the ocean in this place. He might be running a smuggling operation right out of here for all I know, but I don't ask questions and I don't go into strange houses, or let me rephrase that, the bottom floors of strange houses. I do only what I'm hired to do. My job was to remove a set of pieces from the board. You were the pieces.
As he says that, Silvo moves forward a step, still pointing his crossbow at him, and very angrily, I can't be too angry because it's dead late in the house.
I got you.
Very angrily kind of hisses, I'm sick of people being other people's pieces on their board. What good are you if you can't give us any more information?
Look, lad, what other information do you want?
What have you got? Anything. Gellin, Sambalat, the council, any of your nefarious, filthy little friends.
The only thing that I can tell you is that Gellin's dirty. You should know that already. Gellin's been losing, as of late, some of his authority and attention in the town. And if all goes well, the town is going, or if all eventually goes the way that he wants it to, he'll have his authority restored. The last thing that he wants is for people to know who it is that he's been in league with.
Where can we find this Gellin? Sorry, carry on.
No, sorry, go on.
Back in town. When you get back to town, carrying me all trussed up like a turkey, I'll sing for my supper as much as you want. Obviously, he put me in a position that now I can't get out of, and I'll happily, to save my own skin, throw him under the bus. Him and the rest of the lordlings. You ought to know something about that. I think I've seen you around the streets before, he says to you, Silvo.
Silvo just looks like he's shaking at this point, like with anger.
Does it sound like he means it, that he will sing like a bird?
You could make an insight check for me there. 9? Yeah, I mean, he certainly seems to be... You don't think there's going to be another turn where he's like, all right, I'm finally revealed that I am this person. Like, you think that, like, he is who he says he is at this point. It's hard to say if he's telling you absolutely everything that he knows, but it seems to you pretty clear that he is genuinely annoyed at the fact that he's been put in this position, and even the stuff with Sanballat seems to have irritated him a bit. You get the impression he's not the biggest fan of Sanballat.
I would like to check his bonds, because if he tied himself up, he might have a way of untying himself.
So when you check his bonds, and you hear him kind of chuckling as you do that, you notice that he has, that the bonds are fairly well tied, although you could actually, you could secure them even more by doing a couple of things. But you also notice that in the waistband of his undergarments is a small vial, and there is a kind of greenish liquid inside it.
I take it.
Okay.
And
Be
I
careful
hand
with
it
that.
over to.
You don't want to make sure you don't get that on your skin or accidentally inhale it.
I give it to the
Very
artificer.
dangerous. Okay. So
I give
you
it to
hand
the
back over-
artificer. He knows about this.
Okay,
stuff.
Morthwyl. If you want to take a look at it, you can make. Let's see. Let's make this an investigation check. You can do this at advantage, though.
Okay, and we guidance again on whichever the highest is. Wow, well done. For good measure, 19.
This is almost certainly poison. Now, it does not necessarily look like the slow-acting kind, because the liquid looks different. It's kind of like a lighter green, and it's more not as viscous as the stuff you were given down below by Sandalet, but it definitely looks to be some kind of poison. Not much of it, though, unless it's like incredibly deadly, probably just enough for like a single dose. It could also be used to envenom a knife or something like that as well.
Okay.
I carefully check the rest of the undergarments.
Yeah, the rest of it is just nothing but his body. There's nothing else in there.
See, doesn't seem to have any opportunity to actually open his bonds.
Not likely.
I mean, we might just have died down there, and he would have just lied here for the rest of the week.
Yes, I mean, yeah. The DM remains silent.
Okay.
So if we never came up here, how are you supposed to get out?
Well, if everyone did their job, I was supposed to be released by Sanbalat's people. Although now that you've told me about whatever the hell Sanbalat's doing down there, it's possible that he would have just left me to die here. I would have found my way out eventually. I have my ways of being clear and free if I wish to be. But it would have taken me a while, and I wouldn't have liked the wasted time.
Like the time we've wasted coming up here to rescue you.
I don't think it's wasted time, friend, because now at least you know what you're up against. You can't trust Gellin Primewater.
I want to know how much work you've done for Gellin Primewater prior to this.
How many killings would you like me to tell you of, lass? A fair
I don't
bit.
need the details. I just want to know how close into his inner sanctum you are.
I don't know about the inner sanctum. He has a lot of people that he hires to do his work for him. But I've always been a reliable cut purse for him. And when he needs an extra bit of edge to his knife, I'm often the one that he calls. But beyond that, all I know is that he pays on time, and he and I both are discreet. The only reason I'm telling you all of this now is because, 1, I'd like to save my skin, 2, I don't know what in the hells is going on with Sanbalat, and 3, I don't like feeling as if I've been set up. This all feels to me like Gellin had something to do with making this happen.
Yeah, it sounds like you might not be his favorite person. What kind of boss would put you in this position where even us who don't know you, we didn't know that he was involved. He has put you directly in our crosshairs. And I point again at the crossbow in Silvo's hand. Sounds like you might not be flavor of the month.
It sounds that way to me too. And that's why I'm telling you everything I know. You bring me back to the town, I'll tell them the same thing also. I'd rather sit in a prison for some years than sit here and wait for Sanbalat to be done with me when he brought his men up, or for Gellin to send someone after me. And as far as that's concerned, if I do get free, I wouldn't mind having a shot at Gellin himself.
I think you can wait your turn.
I point towards the rope at his leg and towards the parking like a question in motion. So if I should untie his leg so he can walk with us.
I kind of make a head shake. I'm like, not yet. We retie his hands first. We're taking him with us, and
no, hands are tied.
Yeah, no, she hasn't untied his hands.
Well, okay. being in this position a couple of times, I'm going to use some rope from my backpack to tie his arms at the elbow together as well. So it's like that, basically.
Okay.
It's going to be incredibly uncomfortable for him, but I don't really give a damn.
Yeah.
While Silvo's tying his elbows together, I want to ask Ned, since you've been working with Galen for a fair while now, are you aware of who else on the council might be a little grubby?
I suppose it depends on who you talk to, but I don't know anyone else who's involved with the same people that Galen is. As far as I know, Galen used to have the most money, still has a lot, used to have the most power, doesn't have as much as he used to. Most of the other council are either self-interested or idealistic sots like that Anders, or they're people who are just normal, everyday folk. You know, the salt of the earth type. He kind of glances over at you, Morthwyl, and those types, of course, are the most dangerous of all. Can't have any commerce or actual thriving business with people who are too honest to run it. But if you're asking me if I know of anyone else sending out people to eliminate targets, I don't. But I can promise you I'm not in the town council's inner circle. The closest I get is Galen. And the closest Galen gets to honesty is when he walks by the church on his way to work in the morning.
Interesting. I turn to my crew and say, so are we taking this gentleman back to town so that he can attest to Galen's smuggling practice up here in this house? We've been asked to find out what's going on up here. I think we have a fairly good idea now.
I'm finished tying his arms / elbows together, and I kind of motion for someone to maybe untie his legs.
I don't know about the rest. Oh, go ahead.
I untie his legs unless somebody stops me.
I don't stop you.
Go ahead, Morthwyl.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I definitely feel a powerful lust for some fresh air.
I think so. I've still got half of that chimney in my throat as I cough again, and this plume of soot comes out of my mouth. I completely agree. I think I don't know how much more there is to learn in this house, and this artifact that Sambalat wants us to find sounds like a wild goose chase to keep us occupied whilst this poison does its work.
Even if we found the artifact, he probably had no intention of giving us an antidote anyway, except maybe him over there. I say, pointing at Silvo.
Well, I'm not singling Silvo out, although you do appear to be of use to Sambalat. But if his orders were to kill us, then keeping us I don't know why using slow-acting poison is an effective way. Why not just give us fast-acting poison? I'm pondering these things out loud as we go.
He had plenty of time to just outright kill us down there. So he
not
definitely
appealed
wants
at
us for
all.
something.
So,
Yeah, there's something fishy going on here.
So Waves does something she rarely does, as she actually doesn't use sentences but puts words together. Although you can see that she doesn't like that, so she uses words that this Ned guy has used, and says also words that Samuelis has used and everybody else. So it's different voices for every word, and she says, "Galen heal poison."
Yes, it does sound, if this is a poison that is a preferred method of his, he might well have an antidote. Again, this seems like a strange method.
Especially if Sambalat sounds like he's gone off script, as it were.
At this point, you have Ned up, I assume? I understand.
Yes.
Okay. Let me know if you're walking out of the house. I just wanted to make sure I knew where you were having this conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my crossbow away. I'm going to take my dagger out and hold it kind of blade point to the back of Ned, and I'm gonna start walking him out. And I'm just gonna whisper to him in normal voice, not telepathically. If you move or try anything, I will bury this in your spine.
You got nothing to worry about me. Just make sure you stay clear of Sanballat. You can put it in my spine, but he could get into your head.
Well, don't worry, friend. If we trip up and fall in Sanballat's crosshairs, you're getting pushed into them first. And with that, I kind of pat him on the back and lead him out.
Okay. And just to be clear, are you folks going down the stair, and right over the ice where you slip and fall? I'm assuming you're going back down the stairs here, but correct me if I'm wrong.
I think that would be a good idea. And out the back door, since it's near it and doesn't lead past the trap door, which might have an angry wizard waiting for us.
Yeah, although
is that the back door?
Well, no, this is the front door. Like so. You mean going? You mean going to the side here and then going out this way?
Oh, you mean? Oh, okay. You mean go out this one? Okay, yeah.
The one we know is absolutely safe as long as we don't go near the well.
Oh, I see. You mean going on here? Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and not near the screaming staircase either.
Yeah.
So So you want to head back towards the room with the trap door in?
No, I'm saying I don't want to do that.
You want to go here, right?
Don't want to. You want to go back to the one we originally came through.
That's right, because we know we've cleared a route, so we can go out past the well, back round the front, because the weasels are gone. Well, I hope the weasels are gone.
We know that door is not trapped and stuff, so we can go in there.
There is still a snake in the well. Just saying, we didn't kill both snakes
either.
Yeah, but we're not going to walk up and shove our face down it this time.
I'll do my best. I can't guarantee it.
Let me have you bring
Ned,
your tokens down here, okay?
We'll just run very, very fast.
Yeah, let me have you bring your tokens down here.
Token. Oops, token. There we go. Oops, I've lost myself. Oh no.
I will bring Ned down.
I've put myself in fog of war. There we go.
Oops.
Was Ned? There he is.
Okay. There we go. Okay. All right, so you make your way out, if I understand what you're doing here.
Yep.
Out of the house.
I am kind of frog marching Ned out of the house. So wherever he goes, I'll go.
As you march your way out of the house, the snake is not visible near the well, and as the house sort of looms behind you as you make your way around the outside of it and then back down the path. And as you do all of that, heading back down, there is a moment, Silvo, where something kind of tickles your mind, and you look back over your shoulder. And I would say Brine and Morthwyl and Waves, you probably something also might encourage you perhaps to look in that direction too. And as you look, you can see out of standing on the front doorstep, so the front door of the entire house, with his arms folded and a cruel smile on his face, is Sanballat. And he looks down at all of you as you are now a good distance from him. And in your mind, he sort of looks, kind of tilts his head a little bit, and he sees you with Ned, and his smile becomes wider. And in your mind, Silvo, the rest of you, all of you see him, but Silvo, only you in your head here. Tick, tock. Tick, tock. And that's where we will bring our session to a close, with the announcement that the party has advanced to level 2. Inanda, you had a lot of good stuff going on there. First of all, Brine had... I love the moments where Brine was acting as sort of like team mom at a certain point, where it's like, okay, listen, you don't fight you, don't slap this person, what are you doing? And then this kind of sort of good-natured but still exasperation at Waves doing all this stuff, like just being like, can you, and the stuff that Silvo is just straight up just like, what the are you doing? You're just like, look, maybe this isn't the best idea, that kind of thing. And so I was really enjoying that. And of course, getting a chance to see some specific pirate background stuff that you might know, and that, as you might imagine, that may come more into play as time goes on. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
I loved it. I had a lot of fun. It's great. My perception of obviously Brine growing as a character is very much when we were on the pirate ship, we're stuck at sea together. So it's it's not only important, it's vital that there's no infighting.
Right.
So she's very much one, and you have to trust your crew, which is why I'm not going to be leaving Waves on her own, and I'm not going to be turning my back on Silvo, regardless of what transpires about his background. If we're in a crew together, we're in a crew together until we say we're not. But yeah, I really enjoyed today's session. Lots of fun. And I didn't die.
And you didn't die. Did I not say that there would be, you would not face death on this day?
I did. You did, and I am very, very appreciative of you not DMing in a way that didn't put me in imminent danger.
Mm-hmm. Well, you folks all did that yourselves with your careful play. Mike, Silvo, I like the idea that you said early on that you were like, wait, so, he doesn't actually, he hasn't said anything yet? And I'm like, nope. And you're like, that's even worse. Because in the background of everybody, of course, in the back of your mind is Sanballat and the growing threat of not just the poison, but sort of the fact that Sanballat in a way is inscrutable and you don't know what the hell this dude's deal is. And apparently, who knows how much you can trust him, but there is no honor among thieves, and his fellow, criminal here, Ned, doesn't even know the sort of full extent of what Sanballat's doing. So there was all that going on, and Silvo has this unique, connection that we've talked about here. But also I thought that there was a lot, this was sort of the anger episode in a lot of ways for Silvo. You were pissed off at Waves for doing this stuff on your own. Then you were pissed off at this guy who was basically jerking your chain, and you're tired of everyone doing that. And you're just like, everyone tell me, what we want. You could feel a little bit of that, the shaking crossbow. You could feel a little bit of that moment. There's a sequence in season 2 of The Mandalorian, which is very much like this, that it reminded me of. And so, yeah, you could feel the sort of frustration coming out from Silvo. And, of course, this concern about what actually all of this means, because now there feels like there are more moving parts of people who are concerned that you have to deal with. And because you, as I say, know the name Gellin Primeweaver, and that it'll be interesting to see what your reaction then is when you all get back to town. How'd you feel about today's session, Mike? Where will the fine folks see you next?
Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought the frustration that Silvo felt during this episode is exactly what it feels like. This episode was just because he's been put in a horrible position. He's been injured. He's tried so hard over the last year just to stay under the radar and not get into trouble. And suddenly all of this just stuff is just happening all around him and to him. And suddenly someone like Brine is like, no, we're a crew, we share responsibility. And he's like, he does the stereotypical, he's not a teenager, but in elven years he is a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really had that kind of parental instinct or anything like that during his formative years. So his immediate reaction is like, well, screw the lot of you, like, I'm just really angry for no reason, like, on top of everything else. He is gonna lash out a little bit, not so much that he's gonna start attacking people, but there are gonna be little bits like that where he will be like, well, and pout,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was nice to be able to kind of bring that out a little bit in Silvo. But next session, when, like, seriously, I've got Discord open, I'm already going to be asking that question. I'm like, I can do all of these days forever. Let's do it now. Work and wait, let's do it now.
Next session. Everyone's like, what?
Next session on the next episode right now.
Also, Saber, very good work again with Morthwyl, and I think it was interesting to me to see, first of all, mechanically, Morthwyl had a couple of very big things. Being able to find that healing potion was pretty clutch. Being able to identify it as a healing potion was clutch. Being able to identify the poison as what it was clutch. So and then also being able to give, a little bit of the light and being able, just the various things that Morthwyl did mechanically, I think, had a lot of significance in the episode today. But then also, you also get to see, I think, a little bit of Morthwyl's sort of, there is this kind of general irritation at, like, God damn it, like, with we should not be here. But there's also this general sense of, like, here's the way life ought to be. Like, towards the end, you notice this idea of, like, look, you can't just, shoot a man when he's tied up like that. You can't do that, which, of course, is accurate, especially for someone with a lawful good perspective who kind of wants to, do things the right way. But I love the idea that Morthwyl sort of has a very strong code that he follows, but it also pisses him off that he has to follow it sometimes, where he's just like, yes, fine, let's not do, like, all right, let's save the person, like, and it's not a cynicism. It's just kind of like, it's the right thing to do, but it's just one of those, like, it would be so much easier if I could just call the shot whenever I want to and not, I like that mixture of being able to make those decisions. So I'm enjoying more of it, and you're going to get a chance to see more of it because of all the characters you have heard the most, have known the most about Gellin Primeweaver. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that gets played out when you get back to town, because you do know his reputation, which used to be up here and now isn't so much, and you know something about the man, and that will be helpful, I think, in dealing with this next part. How did you feel about today's session, Morthwyl? Saber, how did you feel about today's session, and where will the fine people see you next?
It's been great fun, as always. And one of the things I do really enjoy about these sessions is the moments where I can just sit back and let everybody else in the party do stuff as well. Like when we were having the squabble in the fireplace room, and then Morthwyl's just like, invoice.
Yep.
What are you doing back there? Invoice. Just those little moments.
Yep.
Yeah. And then just going in the chimney and just going, oh, this is shoddy. It's just coming out again.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a lot of fun. So, while I really am liking the artificer class, it's got a lot of versatility in what you can do with it. And at the moment, it's nothing particularly flashy, but we will start seeing that from level 2, because as I rather excitedly pointed out, now I can take like infused magic items. I've got a whole list of different infusions that I can have learned 4 from. So we're going to start seeing a lot of interesting uses of them. Like, I can turn my shield into a focus, so I can start casting spells from my shield rather than my lockpick, as a potential example.
Mm-hmm.
And other kinds of things, which we'll keep a lid on them and reveal them as and when. Because you got to keep the people hooked. Give them a hook.
That's right.
Yep.
Piran, a lot of stuff that went down with waves today was interesting, I think, because, and you even at one point mentioned this explicitly, we were like, is there a possibility I can make a roll where she can realize this is a dumb idea? Like, where, you were, and your character might have been somewhat at odds, but I think you played it the right way. My sense was that waves is not, this is one of the ways to do this, chat, by the way. It's as a hint. The way to do a kind of lawful good character in the way that Saber's done Morthwyl, or to do a paladin type character in the way that Piran has done, which is not just be like, "Rah, we must do this," and like Kool-Aid man through every wall and door, but at the same time, be a very stubborn about being like, look, this is what we have to do. Like, this is the way things go. And, you'll think of the sort of smartest possible way to do it, but it's going to take a lot of convincing to get you out of a particular thing where it involves sort of something which is central to your faith or your belief. And Brine, in another way, although not lawful good, played it that same way and talking about, well, I can't leave you behind, because that's the whole thing about the crew. But for Waves, it was very much about, there's someone probably here who needs to be rescued and to be dealt with. And so I thought that was really interesting, because it meant that Waves became kind of the forward momentum conscience of the party in this particular episode, to somewhat of the other party members' chagrin, and possibly even the actual player PiranJade's own chagrin, that was what the character was doing. But it was a lot of fun to see it play out, and I thought you did that well. How did you feel about the session, and where will the fine folks find you next?
I love all our sessions, so it's no surprise I also like this one. And for Waves, personal freedom in all the forms it comes is very, very important.
Right. Yeah, and I know you're not lawful good. I know you're chaotic good, but I was pointing about the paladin part more than anything.
Because that's like her very strong conviction that people should be able to sail everywhere where they want to, should be able to pick up every trade they want to, and not be sold as slaves and stuff like that. So it's for her to not follow somebody who's apparently not free was very, very difficult, especially as she was not as hurt. So she felt she had a very personal responsibility to at least go herself. She wasn't quite understand why people were following her. It was a bit mystifying, especially as they were very obviously hurt. But yeah. Now, level 2, which will give her a fighting style. She will suddenly start spellcasting. And of course, there is the wonderful Divine Smite.
Oh, yeah, Divine Smite.
Yes.
Yep. I liked, by the way, when you did the Divine Sense, there is a moment in the spell description, which is a little misleading because it says detect good and evil, and then you move on, and it's not actually good and evil. It detects celestial, undead, or fiend. And at that point, I was like, nope, definitely not undead. Definitely not a fiend. Absolutely normal, half-elf. So it took your insight check, the old-fashioned way, to be like, wait a minute about this guy. So, yeah.
Well, undead would have been a very important factor in this house. So
True.
Still good.
Very true.